Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Blackwood. We are live, and we are a little. Our normal cast is some of us are gone this week, but we do have someone from one of my live games actually who is showing up to play with us today. So let's go ahead and introduce everybody. Andrew, we'll start with you.
Hello, my name is Andrew. I'm playing Warren May, a noble with a puckish rogue streak.
Wonderful. And Derek?
I am Derek, and I am playing Jan, son of Jan, the delusional lumberjack.
Wunderbar. And Dano?
Hey guys, I'm Dano. I'm from the live game. I'm playing as Maester Roland, an Outlander Blood Mage.
Mm-hmm. All right. And then, Dano, just so you know, whenever you are not speaking or anything, you can hit Control-D on your keyboard and it'll mute your microphone.
Fantastic.
Mm-hmm. All right, so one of the people who's not joining us today is Jeremy, one of our regular players, and it's actually his birthday weekend. He's going on this big, cabin D&D fiasco all weekend. It should be a ton of fun. But I mentioned this because down in the footer notes for the video, there is a link to his 5th edition game set in a fantasy version of a Wild West that never was, called Caldera. And Derek and I both play on that. That's a ton of fun, so you guys should check that out as well. And with no further ado, we shall get ourselves into the Blackwood. So, our players have just recently finished up a 3-quest arc, and they have arrived in the city of High Hall. High Hall is in the middle of the Blackwood, and so that you guys can see my quick and dirty map of the city here, this is High Hall, and I also have a picture here. Let me actually turn this off for a little while so nobody can see all my spoilerific goodness. So, whenever you guys arrived in High Hall, you were pretty much beaten and bedraggled, but you did manage to safely deliver a caravan there. And you had a couple of little capers in the city itself before you turned around and wrapped up the session. And so this is what you saw as you were coming into town. Out on this lake, there's this big, beautiful fortress made out of stone, which is kind of rare for the Blackwood. And we've got a bridge that goes over to this landmass over here, and for our purposes, this is the same sort of thing. So you guys would have come along a road that kind of comes out this way, down here, through the city, and then the fortress out in the lake is right here. And you've got the whole city here. So a quick introduction to the city. High Hall itself is right here, number 1. Number 2 is the Court of Classics. That's where the Hall of Classics is, and also the town's tree. You've got the market square here. Most of the nobility lives right here. Flower Town out here is where a lot of the people who work the flower fields harvest their honey to make their mead. High Hall is famous for its mead. You've also got City Guard area over here, a poorer area along with a miners' guild. A hunter's lodge with the forest in the high mountains here just behind, and that'll be enough to get us going. So what I will also do so that the players can have them up is put the links for these images in the chat feed, and here we go. So you guys wake up, and it is morning in the city of High Hall. You are... I don't think any of you are native to the city, right?
I'm not.
Yeah, that's what I figured. So, you're probably all staying in a tavern or an inn. And I would assume, for the purposes of the story, let's just say that you're all in the same inn. Would anyone like to give a name to this inn?
It's the Far Trader Inn.
The Far Trader. Awesome. All right. Sounds like it's probably something that's maybe closer to the outskirts of the city, something where the travelers that come through town are prone to stay. And
that's what we are.
exactly. Since you named the tavern, would you also like to describe the interior, or would you like to pass that off to someone else?
I can go either way.
Okay. Well, you definitely get a Benny for naming the tavern, so we'll say that's good to go. And then Derek or Dano, would either of you like to describe the interior of this inn?
Well, how about this? I mean, there's rooms inside, but the bar is all outside.
Okay.
They like to take advantage because they're near. There's not a lot of open fields in the Blackwood, but they're proud of their fields here with the flowers. So they like the patrons like to sit outside and drink while they're looking at the flowers. Mm. So there's probably about six long tables out front, and a couple people passed out on the tables. It was a long night last night, and they never made it inside. But yeah, so we're just making our way out there, getting the free food that they have. Nice. At least Jan is.
Yeah, so the innkeeper then is this woman. She's kind of smaller, a little more petite. She's getting on in her years. She still has dark hair. It's not really streaked with gray yet, but you can tell there are lines around her eyes. She kind of stoops a little bit as she walks because she's lived a hard life. And she says, "You boys, you were some of the best patrons last night. We had a fight come through. There were some other errants that came out and tried to get rowdy. Luckily, the city guard came down on them pretty hard. Anyway, fresh fish out on the feasting table. Help yourself. You paid your wages already, and you're good to go. So just let me know if you need anything else."
You have any more of that lazy bee mead?
Lazy bee. Yeah, we've got a cask over here, and she goes over and she says, "Rolf! Rolf!" And then this little boy actually comes out. He's no more than 6 or 7, and he is actually balanced on top of a mead barrel, and he's rolling it out on his feet. He says, "Here you go, Mom!" And he does this fancy little backflip off of it, and he lands it with a flourish, and then he bows. And he says, "I'm going to be an errant one day." And he's looking at Warren as he says that.
I'm going to ruffle the kid's hair. And do I have anything? Are there any small items from my kit that I could give him?
Sure, yeah. There would be. You could easily have like a trinket or something. What kind of trinket would you like?
Do I have an armband or something like that I could, pass out?
An armband, yeah, sure. Like just like a piece of cloth or something?
Yeah, off of, maybe an old tabard or something like that I've kept around.
Oh, yeah, that would be totally fine. So, yeah, go ahead and give it to the kid. And by the way, Jan, you get a Benny for describing the interior/exterior of the tavern as well. And so I think, let me see here. Who is lucky? Is it both Warren and Jan?
I am.
Okay, so then by my count, both of you have 5 bennies, right?
Yes.
Perf. All right. So yeah, the little kid, he kind of like I'm gonna be an errant one day. You look like a rich errant. Have you seen lots of adventures?
Not too many.
Not too many. Well, are you gonna go on some more?
I've got some stuff to take care of in town first, but yeah.
Okay. Well, maybe I'll see you again. Will you fight somebody?
If I need to. There are other ways to get what you need besides fighting.
Not for an errant. And he does these karate chops, and he's like, "Errants are strong and mighty."
Jan laughs really loud at this and says, "Boy, you don't need to be an errant to be a mighty fighter. Just look at me and Mutt. We fight all the time. We've taken on imps. We've taken on elves. We're not errants."
But you're not an errant?
I'm a lumberjack.
Oh, well, Mom said that lumberjacks get into a lot of trouble out in the forest, so maybe that's why you fought the elves. But you said Mutt?
Yeah, my trusty companion here.
Oh, where?
Right there, kid.
Ooh, and he looks down at the empty dirt, and he's like, "Oh, I have a special friend too. His name is Shoots a Lot. He's got a bow, and he shoots a lot."
Oh, this kid is adorable.
So, Maester
I asked
Roland,
him,
what are you...
before, if you got a moment,
Yeah, go right ahead.
get down, kneel down, and ask him if he knows if there are any other errants around the area that don't look like knights.
That don't look like knights. He says, "Well, Mom told me about the red barracudas, and they live, or the red pikes. They're the red pikes, not the barracudas, because we don't have salt water here. I heard about barracudas from a Widelander. He told me about them. He said they're as big as, he said whales, but I don't know what those are either. But anyway, the red
They're
pikes."
big fish.
Yes, big
Really
fish.
big fish.
Have you seen whales before?
I have not, but I've read about them.
Wow, I can't even read yet. So he says the red pikes though, they're way out in the forest from what I heard, and I hear that they'll never come into the city because they want to get the little boys and girls, but they're scared of the guards and the other errants.
Excellent.
So Maester Roland, what are you doing right now?
I have taken a plate of the fish that was so generously offered to me, and I'm gonna ask her for a cup of wine if it's available.
Mm-hmm. She kind of looks at you, and what do you look like?
So I am a highly pale, bald man under a elegant red robe, and the hood is always up.
Are you hiding a tree under yours too?
No, not quite. Just other things.
I don't have a tree out of my neck anymore, by the way.
That's true. Yeah. It all got cleared up. It was a nasty bit of psoriasis or something. But anyway, so so she looks you up and down and she says, "You're not from around these parts, are you?"
No.
Well, if your coin's good, who am I to stop you from drinking wine? We got some berry wine coming from the fields. Further out, we got some berry patches out there. I can get a cup for you.
That'll do just fine.
Great. So she goes over and she comes back. It's just a bottle. It's not even really a bottle. It's more like a jug. And she pops the cork off and gives you some wine. And then she looks over and she sees one of the folks who's passed out on top of the table. She says, "Ah, I thought that kind had left here last night. They caused no end of trouble last night. Let me tell you, broke 3 tables. I had 9 tables before the fight broke out last night. A very auspicious number. And now I gotta have them rebuilt or just buy some new ones. Probably they
Where are
really
the
did a
tables?
number on them. The tables?
Like, are they just sitting there? Can I see them?
Oh, yeah. So you've got the 6 tables that are all kind of lined up. They're not lined up they're kind of fanned out, I guess, from the entrance. And they're each, let's say 10 feet long and 3 feet wide or something like that. And then you can tell that there are definite gaps in this fan of tables where some tables have been cleared away. And then
so
over
they
in the
have cleared them
corner.
away? Oh, they're okay.
Yeah. And then over in the corner by the inn itself, there are let me actually show you where precisely. So you guys are probably around this area right here. Let's just say it's this tavern or this inn right here. And the tables are fanned out in this square area, but over here on this corner of the building you can see a lot of glorified scrap lumber that must have at one point been tables.
But they're completely destroyed.
Oh yeah, they're pretty wrecked. I mean, some of them are like you've still got the tabletop itself, but the legs are broken off, and then some other ones it's just all ruined.
What's the quality of everything here in the inn? Is it, I mean, do we have stuff that's been repaired? Is it all brand new? Is it, high class furniture? Is it?
It's middling. It's definitely not what you've seen in Span. Span is a really ritzy place compared to this, but it's still a city, so it's a lot better than you've seen in villages along the road. And things are kind of careworn. Some of it has been repaired in the past, but generally it's not like this place is a total dump.
Well, I'm going to put a coin into Rolf's hand and tell him to keep up with his studies and his responsibilities, because errants need to be responsible.
Nice.
And I'm going to go take a look at the tables and try and repair them, or look to see if they could be repaired.
Oh, sure, yeah. So give me an engineering check, and in the meantime...
What, engineering or just repair?
Oh, if you get repair, then that'll work too. Maester Roland, you enjoyed your description of what your appearance looks like, so I'm going to give you a Benny for that. And then Warren, I'll give you a Benny as well for the interaction with the folks. And
I got a 6 on my roll, but I'll be right back.
Okay, no problem. So Jan, I'm going to give you a Benny as well for the interaction with Mutt and the kid. So I believe it is 6 and 6 for Warren and Jan, and 4 for Maester Roland right now.
While the Maester talks with the innkeeper woman, and Warren talks to the kid, and then about the tables, Jan hefted the barrel of meat up and took it to one of the tables that are still in a single piece, and sets it beside it, I guess up on the table, and then sits on the tabletop and drinks while Warren works on the other table. And every once in a while he pours some out onto the tabletop for Mutt to lap up.
Okay. So then, Maester Roland, you're looking over and you can see this. Big burly lumberjack fella drinking mead straight from a cask that's the size of a chest, your chest probably. And every now and then he just dumps some out into the empty air and it splashes on the ground. And then maybe even he jiggles his hand in midair, but there's nothing there.
I'd like to say that I've seen worse things, but no, that's right, I have. This will not faze me.
That's fair. That's fair. At this point, one of the people who's passed out on the table starts to, I need mead. I need mead, and it takes a little while. The innkeeper doesn't actually pay much attention to him at first, but eventually he starts pounding his hand on the table. Mead, 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 mead.
Jan yells out at him, "Ask nicely."
Nicely? Who do you think I am? I'm an errant. I live by my own strength and my own passion. I don't have to be nice if I don't want to.
Yeah, your passion for something.
Passion for wealth and glory. What are you passionate about, huh, Mr. Woodsman?
One day I'm going to be the top lumberjack in the forest.
Top lumberjack in the forest? You realize how big the forest is? There's got to be a lot of lumberjacks out there.
And I'm going to be the best. Right, Mutt? Yeah.
This guy looks down where Mutt ought to be, and he squints, and he's got this long hair that's bound back into a ponytail that goes about to mid-back, and he's wearing silk clothing, like quilted silk, but it's pretty battered. Like, he bought this a long time ago, and he's probably lived in it for months. And he's not as tall as Jan. He's not the shortest guy in the Blackwood either. And he's pretty stocky, but he looks kind of quick on his feet at the same time, or he would if he didn't look so hungover. And so he gets up and he walks over to Jan and he says, "What's your name, anyhow, Mr. Lumberjack?"
Jan, son of Jan.
Jan, son of Jan. Son of Jan?
That's what they say.
You just got a bunch of Jans in your family. Oh, yeah, that sounds about right, Lumberjack. You get out of here.
You remind me of a troll I met.
A troll? I don't... You saying I look like a troll?
Ah, no. Troll we saw the other day, he yawned at my name, too.
Yeah. Well, I don't take kindly to being compared to a troll. So at this point, Warren, you are repairing this table, and you find that one of the tables is actually not in that bad a shape. It's pretty much just like if you flip this tabletop over and you stick the legs in there, if you could find some nails or something, then you'd be in business, and the table would be repaired.
Okay.
And so maybe, while you're looking around for the innkeeper, you look up and you see that there's this
Are there some
grubby-looking...
nails or something that I could just kind of scavenge with MacGyver?
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, so that, and I think you only get that once per session, right?
I have no idea. But
I'm
I'll
pretty
double check.
sure it's once per session. But we can double check that later if you.
I'm going to use it now
again.
either way. I'm just going to double check to see if I can use it again.
Okay, sure. Yeah, well, actually, on the corner of the building, then you look over and you see that this is clearly some sort of repair spot because there is a barrel, and on top of the barrel it's kind of like a rainwater catch basin, but on top of the barrel there is this like a little wooden crate that would be easy enough to carry in one hand with a little rope handle on the top of it, and it's full of nails and it has a hammer in it as well.
Okay.
Cool. And then, Maester Roland, you are enjoying your fish and your wine, and you're looking over and you're seeing that there's this lumber fella who's happily dumping wine out and talking about mutt, whatever that is, and then there's this grubby-looking, stocky dude who's just woken up from the table, and he's walking over and sticking his finger in the lumberjack's face. How's that make you feel?
I'm going to continue to sit there and drink my wine to see how this is going to play out.
All right. So then Jan, the Errant looks at you and he says, "I don't think I like you sitting here, Mr. Jan Jack. I think you should move."
He's poking me?
Yep. Well, he hasn't
Jan...
actually touched you yet, but he is like his fingers up in your face.
Okay, well, Jan says, you better watch it. You're about to get bit. Hold it, boy.
You're going to put my finger inside your dirty little mouth?
Why would I bite you? Look at him. He's the one growling.
What? Where? You got a dog? And he starts to back away like maybe he's rethinking this situation.
How blind are you?
But, so I'm blind now, huh? Who's it? You don't have a dog here. And he looks down and he's like, is it right here? Is this your dog? He's pointing in Mutt's direction, but at empty air.
You better be careful. Mutt doesn't like to be called small, if that's what you're inferring.
Hey, he's got a small little mutt puppy. And he goes, and he hawks this huge loogie right in between Mutt's eyes.
Okay, Jan stands up abruptly and kind of sloshes some. He's still holding the barrel and some kind of sloshes out, and he says, "You better apologize now."
Apologize the dirt? I'm not gonna do that. Mr. Roland, at this point, can you make a notice check for me, please?
Absolutely. Let's see here. It is 3.
3. All right. So yeah, you can see them arguing, and you can see that things seem to be getting pretty heated at this point. And Yeah, Jan. So this fellow right here has done some pretty offensive things to you, and you demanded an apology, and so he says, I am too hungover to apologize to dirt and a dirty lumberjack. And then he turns around and he goes, Mead! Mead!
I told you to ask politely.
Ask politely. I'll ask you politely. And he puts his hand down at his waist where he's holding, where he has a dagger sheathed. And he says, you apologize to me for ruining my morning even more than I ruined it last night.
I'll apologize when I stick that dagger up somewhere you won't see in a week.
How dare you? And he steps back. And he says, I am Iron Clawed, and you will apologize to me, or I hereby challenge you by the call of errantry to a duel.
I don't abide by your weird errant rules. This is between men.
Between men? The Elder King doesn't care about men. He cares about errants fighting each other. And you are going to fight me. So put him up. And he whips out his dagger, but at this point he's probably like 10 feet away from you, so it's not necessarily like an immediate deadly threat. Although, Warren, you are close enough that you can hear this guy pretty belligerently talking about challenging to duels and errantry and all that sort of thing.
I'm going to be making my way back over to him now.
Sure. And you do manage to repair that table. It's just kind of sitting over there with the rest of the scraps at this point.
Okay.
All right. And you make a notice check for me as well. Two. All right. Well, you can see that there is a crowd that's starting to notice all of this commotion. They're kind of on their way to their own jobs, or there are some market stalls that are set up out in the square area, not very many. And some of them are setting up shop for the day, but even they are kind of looking over and like, oh, what's going on over here? And then, yeah, so this guy says, come on, lumberjack, Mr. Jan the lumberjack, put him up.
Can Warren or someone tell Jan that he needs to be an errant? Because I want someone to do that.
If you win the fight, I'll tell you. No, personally, I was always under the impression that you were already an errant.
Mm-mm.
Well,
I mean, you've been acting like one, so...
Yeah, it would make sense that you wouldn't tell him that then. So, Jan.
Though I guess, now that I'm paying attention, if you mention the fact you're not an errant again, I'll pick up on it.
Okay. And Jan says, I don't care about your weird errant rules. We're just going to fight this out. And then he starts walking towards them.
Oh, man. Are you drawing a weapon or anything?
No, not yet.
Okay. So he says, this guy, Iron Clawed, he says, wait a second. He doesn't care about errantry? Guards! Guards! He screams for the guards, and these guards kind of walk over, and they're like, what do you want, Claude? And he says, it's Iron Clawed, you know that. And they say, well, we know that you wrecked this place last night. You going to do it again this morning? And he says, well. And then they say, well, you know the law. Can't duel unless it's with an errant.
Jan says, does that apply to me too? I can't fight him?
Sorry, wait a second. You cut out there. I didn't hear what you said.
Jan said, does that apply to me too? I can't fight him unless I'm an errant?
That's right. You have to answer the call of errantry and wear a tabard before you can be excused from the legal penalties involved with fighting in public.
Well, fine. And Jan sets down the barrel, walks over to a little tree, takes his axe out, and cuts off a small branch, and sticks that branch in his belt, and says, "There, I'm an errant."
The guards look at each other. They're like, and they one of them kind of shrugs his shield, which has a purple bee, or a golden bee on a purple field. It's the herald. Actually,
Can I
Warren,
make a smarts check to find out if, or what's required to actually answer the call?
Absolutely, yeah, that would be common knowledge, so it'll be smarts -2.
Okay.
And Maester Roland, you could do that too, but because you're a foreigner, it would be smarts -4, I think.
Yeah, at that point, do you even want me to roll? Because I'm not going to know.
You can give it a try. 11. Wow, okay.
Explosion
yeah.
on the fate dice or whatever it's called.
Nice. Yeah, the wild die. Yeah, so then you know that in order to answer the call of errantry, you have to make a public declaration, and you have to state your name and your lineage and what you are answering the call for, like the personal thing that you are most passionate about and what you want to strike out into the world to achieve.
Well, he's already given his lineage. He says Jan, son of Jan, all the time. He made a public declaration, so we basically just need to know what he's fighting for.
That's right.
I already said I was going to be the best lumberjack in the Blackwood.
Well, but you got to do it all together. So Ironclad is like, all right, Mr. Errant Jan, let's do this.
This is where I'm going to step in and tell him that we need to know what he's fighting for. We need to know what Jan is wanting to do for the Blackwood before this can be done.
Oh, hey, okay. And Eli, when Ironclad gives this thing, have him do one of the famed where's he's famed at, because I want to answer that as well.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Okay. So, yeah. So he like strikes a pose with his dagger, and he goes, "I am Ironclad in the tavern over by the hunting lodge, known as the Hungry Boar, for the battle that I waged there just a month ago against another errant whose name isn't even worth remembering. And I fight for wealth and glory for myself and myself alone. I hereby challenge you to a duel."
You're really good at that. I mock him.
I'll get you later.
Well, Mr. Steel-Toed Boot, my name is Jan, son of Jan, famed from in the bed of every lover lass from here to Dinborn. I fight for my mutt here. We're going to be the best lumberjacks in the Blackwood.
Mr. Roland, what are you doing right now?
I will continue to sit and watch, as I cannot enter into any of this.
It's true. Are you looking just at the two guys? Or are you looking around at all? What are you looking at?
Let's stick with the two guys.
Okay. Yeah. Then you see them squaring off. Warren, what about you? What are you doing right now?
Is there anyone placing bets?
You're making that call out loud?
Is there anything against the law for me making the call out loud?
Absolutely not.
I'm making the call out loud.
All right, so you see a group of 5 guys who are sitting. They've kind of like moved from the market area, and they come over to the table. It's a couple tables down, but they're all kind of hunkered down. Some of them are on the bench. Some of them are sitting on top of the tabletop itself. And they're already sort of passing coins around. You actually see one of the guards goes over too and gives a couple coins.
I'm going to throw a couple coins on Jan, son of Jan.
And one of them over there, he's got these really long mustaches that like hang down to his collarbone pretty much. And he says, "Oh, betting on the lumberjack, huh? What do you know that we don't, huh?"
I know I've been traveling with him for a couple days. Got to stick up for your friends.
Oh, well, right now odds are 2-1 against him.
We'll go with it. I'll throw down 5 silver for now.
5 silver, huh? Very well. Well, Your money. That's a hard day's work right there. Hard 5 days work.
Yeah, Jan hears them and he just shakes his head and can't believe that people put worse odds on 2 against 1. I mean, it's a lumberjack and a big Irish wolfhound against a drunk guy.
Is it an Irish wolfhound? Is it a barracuda? Anyway, yeah. So then they pass some coins around. Do what?
I said, is it a petunia plant? Oh no, not again.
Oh no, not again. I like that. Okay, so what we're going to do now to start off the duel is a test of wills. So
before the duel starts, Jan picks up the barrel again. Just so you know.
He picks up the barrel?
Yeah.
Well, all right. And do you have any other weapons drawn, or is it just the barrel in your fists?
It's just the barrel at the moment.
Okay.
I have my axe with me. But...
Okay. All right then. So the Iron Clawed, he's got his dagger out, and he says, "All right, let's get ready to do this. You ever seen a trick like this before?" And he kind of like shakes his head as if he's trying to clear his mind. And then he goes up and he does this juggling act with the knife. So that looks like, yeah, he manages to flip this dagger end over end, and he catches it like in the blade or on the blade between his fingers. And then he gets it up in the air again and catches it behind his back. And he's like, "Nobody can wield a knife as fast as me." And so what you need to do is roll a smarts check, Jan.
Okay.
Cat.
I got a 4.
A 4?
Yeah.
All right. So I rolled a 5, which means that...
okay. I didn't know.
No, that's fine. I mean, you can spend a Benny if you want.
Well, I'm going to do that then. I thought it was just a normal pass. Otherwise, I would have spent a Benny.
Oh, no. Yeah, it's an opposed roll.
There's another Benny.
All right.
And one more with different dice.
All right.
And I got a 4. This sucks.
Ah, dang. Okay. So then what that means is that he's going to have a +2 bonus on his next action against you because he has successfully taunted you. So you're feeling a little intimidated by this knife work.
Okay.
And so he wields his knife and he says, "Let the duel begin." And now we'll draw initiative. So we've got a 9 of hearts for you.
Oh, I didn't get a chance to do something to him?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we can do that.
Okay, so Jan is a little nervous by that, but he just kind of stands there for a second and then throws the barrel at the guy.
Oh, man. Okay, so that sounds like it would be an intimidation check for me then.
Well, it's a trick, I guess, right?
Well, in this one, a test of wills, you either do a taunt or an intimidation against them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, intimidation.
Okay.
And I don't have that, so it's a D4 minus 2, right?
That's correct.
Well, that sucks.
Yeah, well.
Explode that dice.
I didn't.
You didn't get it?
I got a 3.
Well, you got a 3. Well, let me roll his, let's see, it would be his spirit. So what do we got? Ooh, he got a 1. So
All right.
you toss this barrel at him, and he just barely like ducks out of the way. It actually grazes the top of his head. He goes, "That was, oh, okay, you're gonna get it now." So then initiative, you drew a 9, and he drew a queen.
Hey.
So he is going to do a trick against you and an attack. So they go at a -2 penalty, but his first action has that +2 bonus against you. So it's actually, the first one is a net 0, and the second one is -2. So his first thing is going to be the attack, and he's going to charge at you with his knife and slash at you viciously. And what is your parry?
7.
7? I got a 7, and our house rule is that the tie goes to the defender. So he like jabs at you a couple of times and slashes like crazy, but Mutt just barely manages to like nudge you out of the way every time or something. And then for his final trick, he's going to, in the course of one of his slashes, he's going to spin around and try to sweep your legs out from underneath you, which will be an agility trick. So
is that opposed? Or is it just he needs it 4?
Yeah, it's going to be an opposed agility roll. So you will. Yeah, you just make your opposed agility roll with his. Oof, and I'm going to spend a Benny on that. Dang. Okay, what'd you get?
6.
You got a what? A 6?
Yeah.
Okay, I got a 2. So he he spins around, but you are a trained lumberjack, man. You are a nimble bimble, and you hop right over that leg. And then he comes back up to his feet. And he's like, "Ah!" So now it's your turn.
Okay. I think very hard at my ancestors and try to leap into the air. We'll see if I can.
All right.
And I'm going to. Let's see how well I do it. 9.
That's a success with a raise. So I think you have leap step for the rest of this round, right? What were so?
Well, I hope for the rest of the round.
You made 2 rolls, right?
I think.
Yeah, my wild die exploded.
Gotcha.
So I got a 9.
All right. And yeah, I did mean the rest of the scene, not the rest of the
Okay.
round.
It's like I thought I had it for 3 rounds at least.
Right. Yeah, then you gain the magic of leap step for the rest of this encounter.
Okay. Well, then I leap and towards the roof of the tavern.
Oh man, okay. So yeah, you kind of like bound over his head, and he turns around and he even tries to slash at you, but it doesn't quite work. And you alight atop the roof of this tavern. It's a sloped roof, but unlike what you saw in the forest, it's actually like a shingled roof, wheels, and it's mixed with some thatch inside here and there.
I guess I my trick won too, right? The opening thing. So I should have gotten +2 on that as well. No, I should have attacked as well, but I didn't say that. So.
Yeah, too bad. Now, does anybody else want to act? You are not in the initiative order, but if you want to do like surprise actions, I'll allow that.
No, I'm good for now.
Okay.
Can we encourage?
Yeah, I mean, you could do some sort of encouragement thing. I guess it would be like you could do a trick against them to try and distract them.
Well, I'm not trying to distract anybody. I mean, it's a duel. I'm just trying to, give my friend some more confidence. He's got this.
Sure, yeah. How would that work? I know that there are edges that allow you to like give your teammates bennies and stuff, but I don't know how we would handle something like that. So let's say...
And I don't have any of those bennies anyway. Or any of those edges anyway.
Right, yeah. I'm just trying to think of like if it would be capable of being a combat action for you to give a benefit to somebody like that. I am leaning towards no, but you could definitely like stoke up the crowd. Let's say you could do like a persuasion check or something like that to stoke up the crowd in Jan's favor.
Okay, actually, you know what? Instead, what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try and learn a little bit more about Ironclaw. Is that his name? Ironclawed?
Yeah, Ironclawed.
I thought it was steel-toe boots.
Yeah, that's the other thing.
So, persuasion to the other gamblers I'm with, who is this crazy guy?
Okay.
And that's a... Ooh. 14.
14. Wow. Well, one of the guys is like, yeah, he's my brother. Answered the call of errantry, 3 years ago now, and never left the city since then. He wanders around town basically just using errantry as an excuse to fight people. But You know, it works, I guess. He's fighting now. And then Claude looks back and he says, "Hey, shut up!" And he says, "Yeah,
I'm
but you know
I'm
what?"
clearly in a tavern, so I'm guessing I'm next. If you know.
It's true. He does lean into you and he says, "You know, I hope this Jan character doesn't find out about Iron Claw's bum leg. He hides it pretty well, but if you hit him there, it's a pretty big handicap."
Jan is a woodfolk with keen ears and has a really good listen on his notice. Can I do a notice check to see if I would have heard that?
Absolutely.
Oh, please make that check.
That would be
Because
awesome.
I can't say anything, because that would, ruin the odds.
Right. I will say that in the heat of the moment, you suffer a -2.
Oh, okay, so I don't get to add my +2?
But
That's okay, because I got 11.
all right. Yeah. Then you definitely overhear something about Iron Clawed and bum leg. You don't know which one because he didn't mention it, but you do know that one of his legs is not so sturdy.
Okay, well, Jan yells out, "Sniff it out! Which one is it, Mutt?"
So Mutt gambles on over and is just like running circles around him, just sniffing like a mad dog, etc.
Jan yells,
all
"That's the way! Figure eights! Don't let them near you!"
So that's worth a penny. All right, so next round of combat, you got an 8 this time. And the bad guy, Claude, got an 8 as well, but it was a club, which means you go first this time.
So drawing my axe is an action?
Yes. No. Let's just say that you can draw a weapon as a free action for now.
Okay. Well, as I leap from what else is around? Or we're in an open area, right? Are there other buildings around?
Oh yeah, they're definitely wait a second. Drawing a weapon usually takes an entire round, but a character can do it faster if you want. This is an action, however, and so inflicts the standard multi-action penalty. So you can draw a weapon and act in the same round, but it'll be that -2 for both of them.
Okay, but I can still move as a free action, so I'm okay with that.
Yeah, right. And then there are other buildings around, so let's go back to the map and take a look at that. We have, I don't want to show you that stuff. All right. So you are on this building here, and there's a street on either side of the building, but there is another building just to the south. So you could definitely leap over to that rooftop, but it would mean getting pretty substantially far away from the duel itself, or from Ironclad anyway. I guess you're taking the duel with you.
Well, I'm not leaping away from it. I'm leaping towards Ironclad as I whip out my axe, which sounds kind of gross. And I'm going to do a run-by swing, and I'm going to wind up, and it's just kind of floating through the air, winding up, and as I pass him, I'm going to yell, "Timber!" And I'm going to keep on going by, and end up on the wall of the next building. It was one giant leap, and then off the ground to the next building.
Okay, it's kind of like a leapfrog down and then back up across the street. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so then your attack is at a -2 because it's a multi-action.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, yes. Okay, my dice fell off. And I'm glad it did because it exploded again.
Holy crap.
Okay, so 15.
15 total, wow. So that was a success with a raise, so you get to add plus 1d6 to your damage. And his toughness is 6, so that's what you've got to beat with your damage roll.
12.
5 total?
No, 12.
12. Okay, so yeah, that's a success with a raise 2. That's a success with 1 raise. So yeah, you hit him, and you actually he flies backward to try and avoid it. The axe just barely catches him on the cheek, but he falls flat on the ground. And in true soccer star fashion, he, oh, no, and then he like pulls his hand away, and you can see that there's just the tiniest little scrape right along his cheek. But he says, "I yield! I yield! This madman is trying to kill me!" Oh! And he gets up and he's like, "Guards, did you see that?" And the guards are just laughing over in the corner. And everybody over by the betting table is like, "Oh, one hit! Come on! Come on!" So then, yeah. So spoiler alert.
Well,
what do you got to say, Jan?
Jan says, "You can't yield till you apologize."
Oh, okay. So you're going to keep going on in the combat round then?
Yeah.
All right.
It's his turn.
Yeah, it is, and he's going to say, "Oh!" and he's going to just chuck his dagger at you. So a throwing check for him is a D4, and what is your? Oh, it's a range attack, so I only need to hit 4 to be able to get you.
Mm-hmm.
But let's say that it's going to be in like the second range increment, because I would imagine across that street you're at least 60, 40 or 50 feet away. So he got. I'm going to spend a Benny on that. He got. Oh, that exploded. And he got a 7 total, so it would be a 5 with the success. So I'm going to roll damage then. Strength die plus D4, and I believe that's -2 for a dagger. What is your toughness?
6.
6. Uh-oh. So that was 8, 10,
Oh.
12. -2 is 10. So we got a success with a raise. So you were shaken. Oh, wait, no. He has to recover from being shaken. I'm sorry.
Oh,
So
good.
first, just to see if any of that even happens. And I got a 4, so I do succeed. But I had a wound, so I fail. So he's still shaken, actually. He gets up and he's like, "Ugh! I'll never apologize to you."
Can you say he did throw it?
Yeah, he threw
Because
it at you.
it just doesn't go any further. But to Jan, it looks like a mutt jumped up and grabbed the handle of the dagger.
All right, that's fair.
And so he goes, "There you go, boy. That's the way we do it."
He like just throws his hands up in the air in rage. "Bah, I'll get you, Jan, son of Jan!" And
I think you froze up.
oh, did I? Can you hear me?
I can
You
hear
can
you
now.
now.
As soon as he raised his
You
hand,
can.
he stopped talking.
Oh, shoot. Okay, well, anyway. Basically, he raises his hands and he goes, "I'll get you, Jan, son of Jan!" And then I said, in between combat rounds, "Warren, would you like to do anything?"
No.
Okay. And Maester Roland, you?
No, I'm also good.
Okay. All right, then. So next round of combat, Jan, you get a 7. 9, 8, 7. How about that? And then the bad guy gets an 8. So he's actually going to do another multi-action, and he's going to grab a jug of wine. Actually, he's going to grab the jug of wine that is at Maester Roland's table because he happens to be near at hand. He's going to grab that jug, and then he's also going to grab a plate, which is just a carved piece of wood, basically, and he's going to throw both of them at Jan one by one, pretty petulantly, to be honest. Let's be real here. Okay, so the first one, it's a -2 penalty. It's actually going to be -4 because of the range increment. No, he's going to pick him up and run to the middle of the street so that he's actually close enough and doesn't suffer that range penalty. But he still gets the -2 for a multi-action.
He's still wounded, right?
Oh, shoot, yeah, he's still... Thank you. I'll give you a Benny for that. Thank you. All right, so recover from being shaken. He did get a...
Well, he wasn't shaken anymore. He was just still wounded, right?
No, if you don't recover from being shaken, then you remain shaken.
Well, you got a 4, I thought.
Well,
So
but
if you
with
were-
his wound penalty, it was only a 3.
Oh, okay, I misunderstood.
Yeah, so I'm going to spend my final Benny and re-roll this thing. I'm actually going to spend a Benny and do a soak roll. No, I can't do that. Never mind. That has to happen in the same round. But I am going to try and clear the shaken condition. Damn it, I got a 4 again. So he picks up these jugs and he's like he's trying to get over there, but he keeps like getting distracted by his face. He keeps holding his hand up, oh, and he's like wandering out into the middle of the street. So Jan, your turn. Oh, you're muted, man.
Oh, did any of the jugs of wine get near me that he threw?
He hasn't thrown him yet. He's still shaken, so he wasn't able to.
Darn, I was going to catch one. But oh well. Okay, well then I'm going to do another leap across, except this time I'm going to hold my axe out like in front of me like this and just hit him.
Nice, okay. Are you aiming for any particular part of his body?
I mean, just like I'm jumping really far and just right into his chest area with the haft of my axe.
Okay. So what I was kind of asking is if you were going to do a called shot, which would come at a negative, but it gives you a bonus to damage. And if you're aiming for the chest, then you are not doing a called shot. It's just.
I'm not. All right,
go ahead and give me that attack roll.
Okay. What was his?
It was a 6.
His parry is 6, yeah.
Okay, then I'm going to spend a penny.
All right.
And another penny.
Ooh, all right.
Okay, the best I did was a 5.
A 5?
Yeah.
But yeah, that doesn't actually hit him. So then you come down and he sees you and he immediately like hunkers down and puts his head or his hands over his head and barely manages to avoid the attack there. So next round of combat. Would anyone like to act in the interim?
Nope, still good.
All right.
Well, Jan yells out, "Damn it, Mutt, bite him!"
Was the wine and everything that he took, was that expensive wine or was it just house wine?
It's basically house wine. Berry wine is the cheap stuff.
Okay. Whatever.
Yeah.
Don't care.
So, Jan, you get a 4, and he gets an ace. So, let's try and recover from shaken again. Alrighty. I got a 5. Minus 1 is a 4, so he does succeed this time. And did you say that you bounded back up onto the other rooftop again, or are you down on the ground this time?
I keep bounding back up.
Okay. Then he's going to do another multi-action penalty, and he's going to run after you and try to climb up onto the roof himself. So let me do a climb check first.
To Jan, it looks like. To Jan, though, it looks like Mutt is chasing him, and he's running to get up high.
That's fair.
And so Jan will laugh at him. Said, see, I told you you'd be afraid of him.
I am going to look at the guys I'm gambling with and go, technically he yielded, but double or nothing?
Ooh. Give me a persuasion check on that.
Hey, Eli, by the way, like your picture is not moving at all.
Oh, that's too bad. That might just be what we deal with.
8.
8? Yeah. Then at least 2 of them are like, yeah, I'll take those bets. I think he's going to pull it out before the end. So, climb check, and he does have that -1 wound.
He's also got a bum leg.
Well, not yet, anyway.
Well, no. Claude has the bum leg, just period.
He does.
Talking about. So this might be able to show you which one it is.
Oh, that's a good point. I see what you're saying. Yeah, and he does actually. He rolls a failure, so he runs up there and he's trying to scramble up this pole, one of the columns that's supporting the roof, and he gets up there and then he slips right when he's on the edge. His arm is on the lip of the roof and he falls down and he hits the ground with a thud and he's like, ah! And then he starts to limp away and you can see that he's really favoring his left leg. And he turns around and he looks at you. And you know what? I can still do my multi-action thing. So even though he failed to climb, he's going to try and throw that at you. So it'll be a 4, but I have a -1. Yeah, and he throws the jug at you, and it flies like feet past you. It doesn't even come close to hitting you.
Well, no, I reached out and grabbed it.
You can make an agility check, I guess. It would be a -2 since you already have something in one hand.
Okay, it's a jug of wine, right?
Yeah,
Okay, I'm gonna try to grab it because that would be fun.
that's pretty cool too.
It's an agility, you said?
Mm-hmm.
I only got 3.
Ah, shoot. Okay, so yeah, you reach out and it just barely sails past your fingers because that's how far away he threw this thing from you.
Well then, Jan mutters, "Damn, I like that kind."
You can hear the jug shatter on the roof behind you, and you can see the wine starting to like just cascade down the rooftop.
Well then Jan yells out, "Now I'm really mad!"
Yeah, and the innkeeper yells out, "You'll pay for that, Ironclad!" And he says, "Shut up, wench!" And then the little boy down there is like, "Get him, Jan! Get him, Mutt! You guys got this!" Now it's your turn.
It's my turn? Okay, and then I'm going to drop my axe to the rooftop and grab my bow and shoot. So this is a multi-action to draw a bow and to fire it?
Correct, yeah. And there's no roll to draw the weapon, but there will be a roll to attack, and it'll be -2.
Right. But I'm a lot better at shooting than fighting.
And you only need a 4.
Okay.
I guess you only need a 6, but still.
Yeah, but I'm going to do a called shot to his bum, his foot on his bum leg. So
okay,
that's a -2.
It's a -2 for the limb, yeah, but you will get +4 damage, I believe, if I'm reading that correctly.
Okay, but so what am I trying to get? Because it's a -4.
It'd be 8.
Yeah, you'll need to roll an 8.
Okay. Oh darn! I only got a 6.
Okay, and it doesn't actually
How many minis do I have?
You have 4 by my count.
Oh, okay. Well, then I'm going to spend a mini. I thought I only had 1.
Oh no, you got plenty.
Were you not taking them away earlier?
I was. I think you've only ever gotten down to a minimum of 3 because you had 6 for a long time.
Oh, I thought I got down to 1. But if you gave me some, I didn't know that. Okay. I'm going to spend 1 more then.
All right.
Switching D8s. Come on, an 8. I want an 8. I didn't get it. Best I got was a 6.
Too bad. All right, so
Okay,
yeah, you attack him, but the arrow just thunks right into the ground right next to him. He says, come down here and fight me like a real man. Anybody else want to do anything right now?
Well, I'll yell out, I live in the trees. I like it up here.
All right. And then we've got the Queen of Hearts. And the bad guy drew a 3, so you guys, Jan, you go first.
Okay. I'm calling the shot again.
All right. So this time it's actually only going to be a 6 that you need because you don't have the multi-action penalty.
Okay.
And
ooh, yes. I got 10.
A 10, all right. So you can either ignore armor, which he's not really wearing any, or you can, well, I guess he does have 1 point of armor, or 2 from the quilted silk. Or you can disarm him, your choice.
I'll ignore his armor because I'm trying to pin his foot to the ground.
Oh, dang, okay. So give me that damage roll. And his armor will be, or his toughness will be 4 now.
Did I get a raise on that at all?
You did, yeah, because
10.
his parry is 6, and so
right.
you got a 10. Yeah,
so I get to roll 3d6. Okay.
Jeez, plus your wild die.
No, we don't do wild die for damage.
Oh, that's right, thank you. I'll give you a minute for that one too. But you're actually at max already, Warren.
Max is 6.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I always re-roll it when it falls off the table. Is it okay if I keep doing that?
Absolutely, yeah. That's what I do too.
Oh, good, because I got a 6 there. So hold on. I am at 9, 14 plus 2, so 16.
16. All right, yeah, that does quite a bit of damage. The arrow gets right into his foot, and he just screams, "Ah!" He falls down to his ground. His brother actually gets up and like takes a step toward him, and then he's like, "Ah, that guy's a jerk."
Who's he talking to? Yeah.
Do what?
Is he talking about his brother or Jan?
Oh no, he's talking about his brother. He says, "Ah, he's a jerk. He'll get up on his own." And meanwhile, Ironclawed is like, "Nah, I yield, I yield."
And Jan yells out, "I told you, you can't until you apologize."
And he really struggles with this, but he goes, "I'm sorry. I'm sorry for whatever it is I did. Just take the arrow out. Oh no. Oh."
Okay. Is combat over then?
It sure is.
Okay, well then Jan says, "Thanks," and puts up his weapons and hops down and just goes back over to his table and looks around and remembers he threw his barrel of mead and kind of looks sad.
Oh. But you know what? It was a sturdy barrel of mead, so it kind of just thunked to the ground in the background and rolled off, and like it's actually resting up against the wall of the inn.
Well, in that case, Mutt ran over to it and barked to alert Jan where it was, and Jan says, "Thanks, boy," and walks over and gets it.
You can have a penny for that.
I have special friends.
All right, so the guards come over and are like, "Claude, you shouldn't have fought that duel, but we can't do anything about it because that's a law. So we got our eyes on you, just like we always do." And he's just screaming and rolling around at this point. They know he's not really listening, but eventually they kind of shrug and walk off. And then his brother does eventually come over and like helps him up, and they limp off together. And then the innkeeper comes over and says, "Well, I guess a jug of wine isn't so bad as 3 tables, but..."
2 tables.
2 tables? No, they broke 3 last night.
Yeah, but one of them is just fine.
And she looks over and she says, "Well, by the ancestors, look at that. Did you do that?"
Yes.
Huh. Don't know many nobles who are interested in getting their hands dirty. Thank you kindly.
Have to set a good example.
Yeah, and so she actually walks back over to the inn, and at this point you guys are divvying up the spoils, and I don't really know how betting works, so 2-to-1 odds, if you bet 5 coins and you win, then you get 10 coins back, right?
Yeah, but then double or nothing.
Yeah, so then you actually got 20 coins.
That was my thinking too, I guess. I don't know.
Okay, that makes total sense to me. So yeah, the other guys, they kind of like, "Oh," and they fork out their... So a couple of them just turn their purses upside down and empty out all their coins, and they're like, "Take them. It was a good fight, I guess. It wasn't like that." And one of them's like, "Well, it wasn't like that one last night." And then they kind of make their way back over to the market.
I'm really sad I missed that one.
Maester Roland, what are you doing at this point?
I'm kind of upset that he stole my wine, so I'm gonna go see if I can ask her for another jug.
Yeah, she looks at you and she says, "Well, you got to pay for it."
Well, Jan hears that and calls out, "Yeah, it's on me."
Oh, well, all right. And she reaches back and she grabs another jug. This one's a little smaller, and she says, "Still berry wine. Don't break this one. Don't let this one get broken."
Before the gamblers leave, do any of them... Oh, I'm looking for somebody who is kind of like myself, a little nefarious, but not criminal.
Okay.
Do we have anyone like that around?
You know, if you were talking to him enough to be able to get some information out of him, so you know that one of them is particularly fond of gambling. His name is actually Badger. That's what everybody called him. That's how he introduced himself. And Badger, he gambles over in the city. He gambles over in the, they're called the slope shacks. and it's the seedy side of town, but there's quite a lot of gambling that goes over there. They stage fights, both men and animals, and they play dice games and stuff like that, so that's kind of where the gambling haven is.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So, Jan, what are you doing right now?
Drinking my mead and eating some fish.
All right.
And putting some on the ground for Mutt.
The innkeeper comes over and says, "Hey, don't you spoil that fish. That's good for people to eat. I made that myself."
I know, Mutt really likes it.
Mutt? What? Mutt? You just landed on the ground.
He'll eat it eventually.
Now look here, you can't come into my inn, spoil all my jugs of wine, throw my mead casks around, and then throw my fish on the ground too.
Lady, I said my dog will eat it.
Well, I don't see
I'm
your
paying
dog.
for it. Why is everyone here so blind?
Maybe your dog run off or something. Maybe you should go find him. But all I know is if your dog ain't here, then you're not going to feed him fish. I can't hear you.
Jan looks from Mutt to the woman and just is like, what's going on?
All right. Okay then. So, Maester Roland, you've got your wine. You just going back over and sitting down?
Yeah, I'll sit there and keep drinking to myself.
Okay, sounds good. So after the fight, there are a few more people that they had come over during the fight, but they don't bother sticking around to eat or drink. You can tell they're kind of pinching their pennies. And so pretty soon they leave, and it's really just the three of you at these tables. Warren, are you sitting with Jan at this point, or what are you doing?
I probably was before the fight, but after the fight, I'm going to make my way over to the slope shack.
Okay.
Well, Jan goes with him, but
Sure. So the slope shacks, you guys are here, and the slope shacks are in
We can't
town
see what you're
over
doing
this way.
because you don't have a...
Oh. That's right. Well, I did send the links for the map in the chat feed, and so...
Is it possible you just turned your camera off?
No, I didn't, but I will try turning it off and turning it back on. Is that helping at all?
Nope.
Poop. Oh well, we'll just have to do without for the rest of the game. So yeah, you guys are over in the area just outside the main gates of the city.
5-5, yeah.
Yeah, and then down by the it's number 7 is where the slope shacks are, and it's down in the southeast quadrant of the map there.
So we'll have to go through 3 and 2 basically in order to get over there.
Correct, and 3 is going to be your main market, and then 2 is the Court of Classics, which is kind of a ritzier. They don't really have a marketplace there, but it is a gathering space. You've got some storytellers who are camped out there, some classicists who are...
I've decided I want to get my dagger looked at, so I'm going to do that on the way.
Okay, gotcha. And where would you like to get that checked?
If there's... The Classics seems like a better place to get it done. But...
That makes sense.
Well, if it's like it's warm, it's weird. I mean, it's not just a dagger.
Right.
So.
And are you talking about this with Jan at the inn, or what's going on?
I'll probably just mention it to him on the way as we're walking over there.
Okay. All right. And then Maester Roland, what about you? What are you doing? Are you going to stay at the inn and eat your food?
You scared him away.
Oh, he dropped out. That's too bad. Well, he may be coming back. I know connection problems are real. So then, yeah, let's say that you guys are walking into town, and I don't know that I've mentioned this to you yet, Warren, but whenever you were looking at the dagger, you noticed that the blade has words etched on it.
Okay.
The words say, "It shall be cut." And you've seen this sort of thing on weapons before, so you might just think that this is the way. Yeah, but you may think that this is just a name for a weapon.
Okay.
Does he say that out loud at all?
Oh, sorry about that, guys.
No problem. Yeah, I know connection problems are real.
No, I had the map clicked up, and then it took over the call with the map. So.
Oh, gotcha.
No, I'm actually gonna to stay at the hotel. I'm gonna try to keep sorry, not hotel, the tavern, and keep a low
Okay.
profile.
Okay, sounds good. So yeah, then you are sitting at the tavern and you're just kind of eating. Let me see here. As you were doing that, why don't you make a notice check for me?
Sure. I have a 5.
A 5, okay. You notice that there are a few merchant stalls that have set up, and they are kind of arranged, selling their goods. Some of them are just selling herbs. You notice that one of them is actually a Widelander. He's a bigger guy, and he's a lot darker than you. He's definitely from further south in the Widelands, from a place that's pretty close to the heartland of the Unified. And he's selling exotic rugs, but he's having a tough time finding a market for them. And then we will switch back over to the other two. So as you guys are going to the Court of Classics, you walk out there and you can see all of these storytellers. They're arranged sparsely. There are probably, well, there's one storyteller, and then there are 5 classicists. They're kind of milling about, talking to commoners and noblemen and that sort of thing. So are you going to talk to one of the classicists who are outside milling about, or do you want to go inside the building?
I'm going to go inside.
Okay. Inside the building, you guys are actually pretty familiar. Well, maybe Warren is not. I don't remember if at the end of the session last time you went in with them to get
No, I went gambling instead last time.
Ah, that's right. Yeah. So, Jan, this is familiar territory for you, I guess, because you went in to get the curse removed, right?
Yeah. Are there any pretty classicists he sees that would remember him?
Well, let's find out. I don't know about people who would remember Jan, but yeah, there is a group of classicists, and within that, it's like 7 classicists that are just kind of sitting around talking. And in that group, there are 2 who are comely young maids. One of them is holding a lap harp, and the other one has a scroll open and is reading through it. Kind of part of the group, but definitely off in her own world.
Okay, Jan will go over there and sit down in front of them, and if they look up, he'll wink at them.
Okay. Whenever you approach, they say, welcome. Welcome, subject of the Elder King. Do you come in search of knowledge or wisdom?
Yes.
I'm following that guy. Points at Warren.
So they look up at Warren and they say, why have you come, noble sir?
I need to find out what I can about this.
So, one of the men, he's an older man. He's got a goatee, and his hair is long, but it's unbound behind his head. He takes the dagger and he says, "Oh yes, exquisite craftsmanship. I am a classicist of the Order of Iron, and I have not seen working like this in quite some time. This is a very high-quality dagger, and I see it shall be cut." Huh. Quite an interesting inscription. Do you know what it means?
I have no idea.
Well, I can't say that I do either. Perhaps we can ask around, though. Let's see, shall we?
Sounds good.
So he walks around, and what this means, a Hall of Classics gives you a +2 bonus to a lore check. So do you have knowledge lore?
No.
Okay, that's fine. I think we can probably finagle that anyway, because there should be...
I'm willing to pay money to have it, to have it ID'd. So if it comes down to, just how much is it going to cost, that's fine too.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sure there will be a cost involved at some point. So it'll be a D4 +2 to find out something about this thing.
Okay.
Well, while that's going on, Jan pulls out his axe and thinks it's kind of cool that they're going to look at that dagger, and he hands his axe to one of the women and says, "What can you tell me about this?"
she kind of takes it and she looks at it and she's like, well, it's an axe. I think, and the guy who's holding the dagger looks at it almost offhandedly and he's like, looks like it's from Denborn Province. I don't know. And then he looks back at
Jan takes it back and it's like, wow.
8.
An 8 on your lore check.
D4 plus the wild die plus 2.
Cool. All right. Well, you don't add your wild die to it. It's just whichever's higher.
Oh, okay.
Right?
So yeah. So 5.
5. Okay. Yeah. The guy looks at it and he says 7. Okay. No problem.
Plus 2.
But the guy looks at it and he says, I think we could probably find something valuable about this, but we would need to take the proper time, conduct the proper experiments. Can you lend us this dagger for say 3 days?
Sure.
Very well.
Can I get a read on this guy?
Yeah, Jan pipes up. I've done this to someone. Make sure you get a receipt.
You're talking about the troll, aren't you? That's worth a penny. So yeah, the guy says, well, you have my word as a classicist and a servant of the Elder King that it will not leave these walls. And should you need anything, please seek me out. I'm Brother Acorn, and I am only too happy to help.
Okay. Out of character.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any connection between the classicists and the ancestors?
Oh yeah, the classicists are the people who are the stewards of the Elder King's wisdom. And the Elder King is largely responsible for teaching the people of the Blackwood how to communicate with the ancestors from beyond the grave. And so the classicists are often the people who come and bring that knowledge to villages to make sure that they're doing the right rituals and things like that.
Well, then while I'm here, I'm going to see if I can get just some... I mean, I've got basic background on the ancestors, but I'd like to learn a little bit more. I mean, I've got this sword, but I don't exactly know how to... and I know how to use it, but I don't exactly know why I can use it.
Sure.
There was the whole bit with the village and, the ghosts and the genocide that we committed against the elves.
Right. Okay. So we'll definitely explore that. But first, I'm going to jump back to Maester Roland.
That's fine.
So Maester Roland, your breakfast is finished. What are you feeling?
Let's see here. I'm over in 5. Let's see. I guess where would the closest fountain be?
Fountain. Let me see here. So, looking for fountains, we could do something probably in the main market, which is just inside the main gates in the 3 section.
Okay.
So you could go there, and there would be a fountain kind of prominently displayed in the middle. And fountains aren't terribly common in the Blackwood. That would be technology that you would see more in the Widelands, but High Hall happens to have one.
I'll go near the fountain, and I'm going to sit and meditate for a bit.
Okay. Inside the market square, there are a lot of people milling about. There are many more market stalls, and there are actually a lot of open front buildings that have a lot of goods being peddled too. You see everything from kitchen goods, knives, and like mallets and stuff like that, to herbs, food stuff, fine clothing, mediocre clothing. There's a barn where they have some livestock that they're auctioning off and stuff like that. There are also entertainers in the market. You've got jugglers, you've got musicians, acrobats, storytellers, and just a lot of people milling about. And so you can position yourself in that fountain in the middle. How do you meditate?
I'm going to sit facing the water. So get on my knees next to the fountain, face the water, close my eyes, and drown out the world around me.
Okay. Yeah, a little time goes by, and you hear the world kind of drown out, and then almost as if through a haze, you hear this, Mister, excuse me, sir, and then you feel a tap on your shoulder.
I turn and see who it is.
There is a young man. He's not quite an adult, but he's getting there. And he actually only has one arm, but he's dressed in fairly nice clothing. And he says, "Sir, are you from the Widelands?"
I am.
I have always wanted to journey to the Widelands. It's such a long trip. How do you come to be here in High Hall, so deep within the Blackwood?
It has been a unfortunately long journey, and my apologies. Do not wish to tell it.
Oh, yes, of course, of course. I do not mean to trouble you. May I find you when you are better rested somewhere?
Sure, I should be here for a few days.
A few days. Very well. And where are you staying?
At the Far Trader has rooms, right?
Mm-hmm, that's right.
Then yes, the Far Trader.
Ah, very well. Well, my name is Diedrich, and I will seek you out. I'm sorry. What is your name?
Roland.
Roland. Well, it's very nice to meet you, Roland. I shall find you at the Far Trader, perhaps tonight. And then he kind of like does a little bow, and he makes his way away. So give me a spirit check.
Sure, it is. Explosion. 10.
Nice. All right. So as you are meditating, you do feel the world drowned out around you, and you feel the impression of steam rising up in front of you, as if the water is evaporating. And are your eyes closed?
Yes.
Okay. As your eyes are closed, you can feel it's dark, but you can see the sunlight outside, and then eventually it grows dark too, and it just keeps growing darker. And eventually you feel the presence of your patron looming over you, pressing down upon you, and it feels restless. It wants tribute of some kind. It takes a little while to notice, but you can tell it's hungry for something. And then we will switch back to the Hall of Classics. So, Warren, you wanted to know more about the ancestors, right?
Yes.
And Jan, are you just kind of traveling along with him right now?
Yeah, but when Warren starts talking about knowing more about the ancestors, Jan says, "Huh, great-grandpap and great-great-grandpap just said jump a lot to me."
Jump a lot. And one of the girl classicists, she kind of giggles and she's like, "Oh, yes, the ancestors always give advice, but some advice, alas, is more poignant and eloquent than others."
Well, okay. I mean, this is off the side, but Jan will say, "Here, I'll show you," and he will jump and see how high he can.
Okay. Are you going to do the leaf step ability, or are you just going to try and jump?
Leaf step.
Okay. So go ahead and give me that.
I got a 5.
All right. Yeah, so it does succeed, and you manage to like leap, let's say 10 feet up into the air, and she almost drops her lap harp, and or lap fiddle, and she's like, "Oh, wow, that was, the magic of leaf step."
Oh, I thought it was just jumping.
No, this is much greater than merely jumping. I'm sorry, I misspoke. Your ancestors, they hide a secret power, a hidden strength. The leaf step is one of the most useful abilities of the Blackwood. You are quite a fortunate fellow.
So Jan did a kind of fun flip in the air, and when he lands, he kind of looks down at Mutt and says, "Huh, who'd have thought?"
And she says, "Yes. Oh, it's rare, but you must use this to the good of the Blackwood. The Elder King would be proud of you if you were to do so."
Well, I just taught a steel-toed boot a lesson.
Steel-toed boot? Oh, you wood folk, you have such quaint terms that you so many idiosyncrasies that you use.
Idio.
I'll be right back.
Okay.
Jan just looks down at Mutt. Idio what?
She laughs again and she puts her hand on your shoulder and she says, idiosyncrasies. It means unique qualities.
Well, Jan winks at her and says, oh, I got some unique qualities.
They call me Nimble Barba, and she drags her.
Jan goes, oh, really?
She says, yes, look, and she drags her, what is it called, a wand on a violin? The bow.
Bow.
She drags her bow across the strings of her lap fiddle, and her fingers just like fly up and down the neck of this lap fiddle, and it's a beautiful song. And she says, yes, do you see now? Nimble singing.
Yeah, kind of looks sad and says, oh, that kind of nimble.
And she says, but, oh. And she blushes and she stops talking. So while we're waiting for Warren to return, let's switch back to Mr. Maester Roland. Mr. Maester. So it's been about 20 minutes or so, and you've been meditating this entire time. What's going on now?
How strong is the pull from the darkness?
It feels oppressive, but it's not so much a pull right now as it is a weight. So make another spirit check for me.
Sure. Another explosion. 9.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, you focus your feelings and you kind of follow this oppression. You take it inside yourself as much as you can, and you can feel it reaching out in all sorts of different directions, and it'll go a certain distance and then drop off, and it'll go another direction in a shorter distance and then drop off again. But gradually, all of this reaching starts reaching in a particular direction off toward the southeast, and it seems that whatever is over there, the hunger is pointed in that direction.
Then I shall follow it.
Very well. So what this looks like on the map then, you would follow it from section number 3 down the road next to section number 6. And as you do that, you pass by the city guard hall. It's a tall building. It's got a couple of floors to it. There are guards outside. And you can also see that there are barred windows down along the floor where there's clearly some sort of dungeon. And you can feel the darkness sort of seeping into those barred windows, but the majority of it is still beckoning you further down the street. And so it's, we'll go ahead and switch back to the Court of Classics right now, and then when we switch back to you, I'll tell you where you end up, okay?
Sounds good to me.
Cool. All right, so Warren, you wanted to know about the ancestors.
Yes.
And you are talking to this Brother Acorn still?
Sure, yeah.
Oh, okay. Brother Acorn says, well, my fellow citizen, what would you know about the ancestors?
I know they've helped me out. I'm, of course, aware of my family lineage, but mean, over the years, I haven't seen things like I've seen the past couple days.
What have you seen?
I mean, a bunch of ghosts coming to ask us to help avenge their murder was new.
He falls still when you mention this. And he says, "Oh, that sounds like a deep tragedy struck. Where was this?"
Out of character, I can't remember the name of the village.
Yeah, it's Henrik's Glen is the name of the place.
Henrik's Glen, day's journey from here.
Really? What? And did you find out what made these ghosts so restless?
Oh, they were all murdered by elves.
No. He makes the sign of the Elder King, which I guess you can't see my camera, so I won't show you what it looks like. But it's a hand gesture, and it is a representation of the heraldry that the Elder King carries, which is kind of I think I've showed it to you guys. It's an intricate pattern it's like green viney leaves on a golden background that's kind of in the shape of a yin-yang.
Okay.
So, yeah, he makes that symbol and he says, "Oh, pagans and elves have attacked the village of Heinrich's Glen and someone else says, just a day's ride away?" And he says, "Yes, we will have to send someone out there to investigate at once." And you say that you avenged these ghosts.
That's what they asked us to do.
Oh, well.
I hope we did.
And you laid them to rest afterward.
Yes.
Well, I cannot imagine the grisly deeds you must have done, but perhaps it was for the best if it laid our ancestors to rest. They may now guide us with the rest of their kind. But this is horrible magic. The elves are... Perversion is not the right word. The elves have...
Infestation?
But some would say that we are the infestation. Classicists of the Order of Leaves would say that without question. We are not natural to the Blackwood. Elves are. Elves are the Blackwood. They draw from their magic as easily as we draw air from the world around us. The elves want us gone, and the pagans serve them to that end. And so it is not so much a surprise to hear that pagans attacked a village, particularly a village loyal to the Elder King, but to hear that such butchery and barbarism took place there, and so close to us here in such a supposedly civilized place. These are dark days indeed. But because of your actions, perhaps the darkness can be held at bay a little longer. I thank you.
Well, we'll continue to do what I can, but like I said, that's why I'd like to know more.
Yes. I wonder, though, the ancestors chose you, perhaps, to liberate this village, and I noticed that your friend over there has abilities that are remarkable on his own. Do you also have abilities granted by the ancestors?
I do, but I don't like to use them unless absolutely necessary.
Unless absolutely necessary.
I don't want to take advantage of their gift.
Yes, of course. Well, I would not ask you to take advantage of them, but perhaps if you could beseech the ancestors, they might bestow a gift just for the sake of observation. I could tell you more about your ancestors, if so.
Of course. And I'll summon the sword, or try to at least, I guess. Nah.
Sure.
Three.
All right.
Nah.
Not quite. So you do have plenty of bennies if you want to spend one.
Oh yeah, no, I just need above a 1 is all I need.
Oh, to summon it. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then, yeah, you. What exactly happens again whenever you draw the sword?
It's just a silver white glowing falchion or scimitar.
Mm-hmm.
Sword.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
It gives off. Huh?
How do you use your power? I have to get a 4. How does yours work?
It's just a It was a... what was it? The one... ancestor worship. I just, cast my spell, and so long as I don't roll a 1, I activate it. But if I roll a 1, then I'm shaken.
Oh, does mine work that way too, Eli?
Well, no. Ancestor magic is like a skill check, and so you still need a 4 to actually succeed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It doesn't say that anywhere.
Oh, sorry. I'll need to update that in the reference document then.
Well, then I'll use a penny.
Okay.
And get a 5.
All right. Yeah. So then you pull the sword, and when you do it, is there a scabbard at your waist or something, or you just pull it from thin air? What does it look like?
I just, I pull it from a scabbard, but the scabbard isn't real either.
Okay, gotcha, sure. Yeah, so then you produce this falchion, and the Brother Acorn, he steps back and he says, "My ancestors, look! That is incredible power that you wield. Is it possible for me to hold it? I hesitate to even ask.
I have no idea. I will try to hand it over.
Okay.
See what happens.
Yeah, so you hand the sword over to him, and it just it's almost like it's immaterial when it reaches his hands, and it just falls to the ground with it's not really a clatter so much as a tinkle.
Okay.
Yeah, but it hits the ground and then it disappears. No, it doesn't disappear. It just hits the ground in front of you.
Okay.
And he says, "Oh, my apologies," and he reaches down to pick it back up, but his hands just go right through the sword again, and he's like, "Well,
I apologize."
This is incredible magic. Let me tell you all about it." And now we'll switch back over to Maester Roland. So, Maester Roland, you continue to follow this road. You come to the intersection just past the guardhouse, and the darkness is pulling you further along. But give me a spirit check to see exactly where it's pulling you.
Sure. 3.
A 3?
Yep.
Okay. It looks like it takes a while. It takes almost 5 whole minutes to be able to tell where this thing is drawing you. And at the end, you can't quite tell. It's either, first of all, on the map, can you see the intersection that's just south of the guard hall there?
Yes.
So your options are to turn left or right, or ahead, which is also going to be slightly to your left. And the pull is pulling you either to the left or ahead and slightly to the left. But which path you choose is up to you.
I will go left.
Left? Okay. So you turn left and you start walking toward the Court of Classics, and it's like heading towards that road there. And as you're walking along, you're searching for this darkness. You're searching for this darkness, but you just can't quite tell where it's leading you. And eventually, you do get to the court, and by that point, you realize that you have gone the wrong way. You can feel the pull going in some other direction, but again, it's really aimless at this point. However, there are a lot of classicists in this courtyard, and a few of them are nearby, and they look at you, and one of them walks up and says, "Pardon me, sir, are you a Widelander?"
I am, and I start to shuffle back the way I came.
He says, oh, and he almost looks like he's going to chase after you, and then he's like, "Oh, well," and he turns back to his friends, and you can just barely hear, "How strange, foreigners' ways." All right, so you head back, and you get back to that intersection. Actually, no, you're heading back down the road, and there is an intersection there that kind of, it's not too far from the Court of Classics, and it goes off at an angle and then heads almost due south. And that's where it feels like the pull is guiding you.
Then I shall head that direction.
Wonderful. So yeah, you head down that direction, you start walking, and you keep feeling it getting stronger and stronger as the buildings around you get more tightly packed, more ramshackle. It looks like in other parts of the city, these buildings are all built all at once, and then you move on to the next building. This one, it's more like you've got a building, and then there was maybe an addition on top of it years later, and then Next door there might have been a building and part of it was torn down and added onto or something like that. And it just looks like construction is a lot shoddier here, etc. And so you get to the T intersection that's down there toward the southern edge of the map. And at this point, it's not so much that the pull is not guiding you in a specific direction. It's more like the road is really choked at this point with people that are all wearing very ragtag clothing. And they're kind of jostling everyone around. They're not really looking up at where they're going. They're just shuffling along. There are a lot of paupers in this area, too. It smells weird. There are flies kind of buzzing around everywhere. And you can tell that there is a lot of uncertainty and fear. There's a lot of frustration in this area, but you can't tell where the pull is guiding you just yet. So we'll switch back for just a moment. Jan, you've been chatting it up with Nimble Barba, and has anything been happening since we last saw what you were doing?
I don't know. He was flirting, but I don't think he's gotten anywhere.
Well, why don't you give me a persuasion check?
Okay. I think I've been doing some things wrong because I have a -1 charisma. So.
Oh yeah. So that applies to all taunt, intimidation, persuasion, all that sort of stuff.
All right. So okay, he's gonna be very blunt and say, "Well, why don't you show me how else nimble you are?" And hey, wait a minute. Let's see how this does. 6 minus 3 is only 3. Oh.
She says, "Oh, well, I'm sorry, but I think you have the wrong impression." And she picks up her lap fiddle and starts to walk away. And she goes over to the... Go ahead.
Yeah, Jan yells out, I would have liked an impression.
Jesus.
He's not very good at that.
And Warren, at this point, the woman who walked off with Jan comes back over to the group, and she kind of sits down in a huff next to the other woman who is reading a scroll. And she just starts like whispering to the woman with the scroll. And the woman with the scroll clearly is not too happy to be distracted from what she was doing. But she quickly like, "Oh," and then she starts to listen, and she looks over at Jan and shoots him this glare. Jan, what are you doing right now?
Another woman is paying attention to him, so he winks back at her.
Jeez. We're going to have to give you some sort of hindrance for this.
Facepalm. Oh, God.
Facepalm. Yeah, so Brother Acorn is oblivious to all of this. He's just fascinated by this sword. And actually, several other classicists have come over at this point, and they're looking around too, and they're kind of like in awe of this. You said it was white and gold and glowing.
Like a silver, like a glowing silvery view sort of thing. A glowing silvery scimitar, but not brightly glowing. Just
Cool. Yeah. So then he says, as far as I can tell, it is a gift from your ancestors, and as we all know, the ancestors bestow gifts to those who are destined for great things or who are uncommonly similar to themselves. Perhaps you have an ancestor who is much like yourself, and he or she really has looked down upon you with favor and decided to bestow this gift upon you. What do you use this gift for?
Right now, protecting those who can't protect themselves.
Ah, the Elder King would smile upon such a thing were he here. And a few of the classicists to make the symbol of the Elder King as well. And he says, yes, it is such a sadness that he has disappeared. But with errants like you, perhaps one day the prosperity of these lands will return, even if the Elder King does not. And then another brother says, "Don't think like that." And he says, "Well, I know, I shouldn't lose hope, but it is difficult sometimes. I'm sure you, I'm sorry, I don't believe I caught your name, Errant."
Oh, Warren Farouk May.
Warren Fruke May. Wonderful. Oh, are you from the House May of Span?
Yes.
Ah, yes, it is a minor house, but I've read it in a few scrolls here in the hall. You know, we are we've agreed to research our dagger, but if you'd be content to wait a little while longer, perhaps we could find something out about your ancestors as well.
That would be great.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, I think that would be an excellent course of action. And if you have nothing else, perhaps we should go ahead and begin our research.
I do actually have one other errand I need to go take care of. Can I meet you back here this afternoon?
Well, absolutely. Although, of course, our research into the dagger will take a few days, much less
Oh, yeah, of course.
the ancestors. That could take even longer. So you're welcome to come back and check our progress, but I'm afraid this afternoon I won't have much to report.
I was under the impression that you were just wanting me to come back and give you more information.
Oh, no. Well, if you would like to come and look through the scrolls with me for information about your ancestors, we could do that before we research your dagger.
Okay.
Very well. Where shall I find you if I need to call on you?
I am staying at the Far Trader Inn.
Yes. Just outside the main gates.
In Flower Town.
Ah, yes. Well, I will send someone for you if we need you for anything.
Okay.
Very well. All right. So, Dano.
Oh, okay. I've got.
Oh, what do you got?
Before Jan and Warren leave, Jan's sitting on the ground again, and Mutt's sitting across his lap, and he calls to the girls, "Why don't you come over here and pet my friend? He likes it when pretty girls rub his head."
Oh my God. Well, you get a penny for that, but stand up and storm off in a huff.
And Jan grabs Mutt's head in his hands and goes, "What's with them?"
You
also Mutt's head.
Make friends today, Jan.
Or any other day, really.
Well, that's probably true. All right, so at this point we're going to take a quick break. You guys can go to the bathroom, you can refresh drinks or whatever you need to do, and I will see you guys in a little bit.
Cool. Sounds good.
All right, see you soon. Okay, so I'm going to try and drop out of this and drop back in and see if that gets my video working again.
Okay.
Cool.
Oh, since I'm broadcasting, it looks like if I exit, then it'll stop the broadcast too. So, oh well, I just want to have video. Now you guys won't be able to see how much wine I'm drinking.
Oh.
Don't kid yourself. It's not wine.
Well, this is actually, although I haven't had, like, I don't drink wine very often, and when I do, I usually spring for something a little nicer. And this is, like, not particularly good, and I can really tell.
Oh.
Oh, but you know what?
I'm gaming sober tonight.
Oh. I think I might be the only one drinking then. That makes me feel really good.
I had a coffee when we started. I may go for something.
Yeah, well, that's my other problem too. I'm losing steam over here.
Well, I've got one less. For me, it wasn't just that. Is I just have to do some studying after we're done. So.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Though I did have a Girl Scout cookie milkshake with vodka earlier. That was pretty good.
Ooh, what kind of cookies?
It was the lemon. The newer lemon cookies that they've got.
Okay.
But yeah, there's a barbecue place here that does, adult milkshakes.
Nice. That's awesome. Whenever I was in Des Moines with Derek, we went to Zombie Burger, and they had, first of all, some really incredible burgers. I had a burger where the buns were grilled cheese sandwiches.
Oh, God.
Yeah, it was like...
Heart attack on a plate?
Exactly, but it was a good heart attack on a plate. But I had a shake that was a pumpkin pie shake that had pumpkin liqueur in it. So I got drunk and drank one of my favorite things in the world. It was wonderful.
And it was a zombie-themed restaurant.
That's right. We watched The Walking Dead. I think that's the only full episode of The Walking Dead I've ever seen.
And you were distracted by food.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, if we're all back, I guess we can go ahead and get started again.
Okay.
I am eating pizza.
Hey, that's fine. I got a handful of trail mix before I came back. Yeah, pretty
trail
exciting.
mix and wine.
Well, it went together actually fairly well. There were raisins in there.
That sounds like a full meal in the Blackwood.
Yeah, pretty much. There's a lot of wine and a lot of trails, so it's perfect, really. All right, so then, when we last left off, Warren was pretty much done talking about the ancestors with this classicist.
And I made a dirty pun.
Yes, Jan lost the attention of two classicists, and so you guys are kind of standing there in this hall of classics. What are you doing right afterward?
I'm gonna continue on to the slope shack.
Okay, the slope shacks. Yeah. All right, and Jan, you're just gonna follow him. Jan.
Yes.
Okay, gotcha. Okay then, so you guys, the clearest path for you guys would be just going straight from 2 to 7, but it's actually kind of circuitous, as you can see on the road there. And so you head down the road, and just like I described to Maester Roland earlier, you can see that the buildings are getting a little more crammed in together, they're getting a little more ramshackle, piecemeal, that sort of thing, and the crowds are getting a little rougher, etc. And Warren, you in particular, as you look down a few alleys, you can see that there are some people kind of huddled over dice games with what looks like really grungy dice. Like these are small-time gambling things, but they might at least know where to find more.
Yeah.
Maester Roland, when we last left you were at that T intersection, and you couldn't quite tell where the pull was leading you. So give me one more spirit check.
Sure. We have a 5.
A 5, all right. You have a strong urge, not as if you're being pulled, but as if something behind you is kind of pushing you, almost shoving you off to the left, which is almost directly toward that number 7.
Then number 7 is in my sights.
All right, so you're walking down the street. You kind of have to weave in and out of the crowd. You even might have to like push past people or wait a little while for an opening to happen. Which do you think would be more appropriate for Maester Roland?
I'm not going to push through people unless that force is driving me to push people. So I will wait for openings and slip through.
Sure. Whenever you do wait for the openings, there's a little bit of conflict from that force. On the one hand, the force almost has this air of disdain, as if you're not being imperialistic enough. But on the other hand, it is glad for what could be perceived as subtlety or subterfuge. So there's some real tension going on in there. But eventually you do make your way almost exactly to where that 7 is, and you can really feel it's not so much the force pulling you in a particular direction, but just a throbbing, oppressive feeling of darkness in this area. There is something going on here. Do you want to do anything in particular?
No, I'm gonna. You said it's like a throbbing feeling.
Mm-hmm.
So it's definitely something here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna find a nice shady spot and watch.
Okay, so what this place looks like, it is a kind of market of its own, but it's not the breezy open-air market where you meditated by the fountain, and it's not the kind of serene courtyard of the Court of Classics whenever you were there briefly, and it's not even the modest little crossroads marketplace outside the Far Trader. Instead, it's cramped and stinky like the rest of this area of town, but there are a lot of awnings that are stretched over the building such that there's almost no daylight that you can see up in between here, so there's actually a lot of shade. And even above the awnings, there are lines of laundry that are stretched between the buildings. So there's really, like, it's almost, even though it's not even quite noon yet here, it's still pretty dim. And it's pretty simple to find a dark corner, but as you look around, you notice that pretty much all of them are occupied. You notice there are 3 viable spots. One of them has a group of people throwing dice, kind of huddled around this pathetic little fire, because it is getting on into the harvest season, so it's not the warmest time of year anymore. And there's another corner where you see there is just an old man sitting on a stump, and he has like a basin that he's holding out in front of him and kind of like begging for bread. And then there's a third corner where there is a man who's dressed a little nicer than everyone else. Not so much in terms of like the fabric quality or jewelry or something like that, but his clothing is not as worn as everyone else's. It's newer. There's more of it, and he is just kind of looking around at different places. But long story short, you don't see any corners that are unoccupied.
I'll go huddle around the old guy with the basin.
Okay, the guy with the basin.
Yeah.
As you approach him, he says, brother Classicus, please, alms for the poor. I haven't eaten in days."
I'm sorry, I do not have anything.
But doesn't the Elder King ask you to give to the poor?
I would if I were a classicist. I would if I had money, but of these I do not.
Not a classicist? But your robes. Surely you reveal the elder king.
I do not know.
Well then, and he just gives up. Alms for the poor, looking around. And so you're just gonna like squat down next to him, or how's this gonna look?
Standing behind him so I don't draw his attention any further. But like the guy in the third spot, watching out areas of the dungeon market.
Sure. Okay, so Warren and Jan, at this point you guys emerge into the dingy market right around that 7. And I would like all 3 of you to make notice checks, please.
Is this a hearing notice check?
Yes. You can use hearing for it.
Mine is a 3.
A 3? Okay.
I had to spend a penny, but then I had 2 dice explode.
Nice.
17.
17.
He beat me by 2.
Shoot, so you got a 15?
Yeah.
Good lord. Okay. So you guys got successes with plenty of raises. Maester Roland, as you're looking around, you just see the crowd of people. Nothing really sticks out to you, and it's really hard to hone in on this feeling of darkness that's around you. It's really aimless. Like, this is where you're supposed to be, but you can't tell why. It's not guiding you any more specifically than that. For Warren and Jan, you're looking around and you see that there are all kinds of people here. They're all fallen on hard times. You would notice that a lot of them are actually wearing the clothing of the woodfolk, so they're not city people. They're clearly refugees of some kind. And in addition to that, you look around and you see that there are quite a few malevolent-looking characters around, and all of them seem to have a sash tied around their waist that is red with black stripes, but some of these sashes are soiled almost to the point where they don't look red. Some of them are really tattered, and none of them, as you're looking, really have any sort of, like...
Can I make a street smarts check?
Absolutely, yeah. Streetwise would be perfect. And
Are they the red pikes that I was warned about earlier?
That does seem to be the case. What is your streetwise result?
A 3.
Oh, yeah, then you actually don't make the connection. But you do know this. Oh, go
Jan
ahead.
will take a stab at it. It's a streetwise check.
Yeah, which would be probably D4 minus 2 for you, right?
Right. So I got a 2.
A 2. All right. Yeah. So you guys don't make that connection, but Jan, you.
Jan thinks it's the red barracudas.
That's totally fair. But Jan, as you are looking around, your ears pick up a sound of an old man saying, "Alms for the poor, alms, alms." And you look over and you see this old man in a corner, and right behind him is the Widelander who is at the inn that morning, in a completely different section of the city. And he's looking around, kind of eyeing the crowd, but he doesn't seem to have noticed you.
Jan laughs out and points at him and says, "Are you following me?"
Maester Roland.
Yes.
I believe you've just been spoken to.
Oh, there was no way he was possibly speaking to me, as I'm trying to blend in.
Aha! So then, Jan, you get no reaction.
Then he says, "Hey, fella, I bought you wine earlier. Least you can do is say hello."
Yeah, hello.
Thank you.
That's all I wanted. All right, so
Jan, crack me up.
one other thing that you notice, Warren, is that there are some gamblers in a corner, and they're huddled over a fire, and they look like they have actual like bags of coins that they are using to bet, rather than things like bread or rotten vegetables or something.
Okay.
Mutt is sniffing one of the rotten vegetables, and Jan has to leave the other guy alone and says, "Hey, don't eat that."
All right. Now, what would you guys like to be doing at this point?
I am here for information.
Okay. What information in particular? Actually, yeah, you can just go up and ask somebody about it.
I'm still trying to find somebody. I am trying to find somebody who's relatively well off that is a bit of a scoundrel.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah.
And I'm not expecting to find that person here, but if they can send me to somebody, I'm more than happy to pay for services.
Right.
So Jan's confused because Jan thinks Warren is just describing himself.
I am describing myself, but I can't hire myself.
That is true. So as you're looking around, you do see the guy that was at the inn earlier, the one who told you about the slope shacks in the first place.
Okay.
And it's worth mentioning too that you guys, as you came to this area, the streets started walking up a pretty steep hill, and if through certain narrow corridors of street, you can actually look out and see a lot of the city below you, and you can see the high hall on the other side of the city across that bridge out in the lake. And if your immediate surroundings weren't so dismal, it would actually be a really pretty view. But yeah,
the smell, oh God, the smell.
But the smell, oh God, the smell, exactly right. And so Warren, you look around and you see the guy who was at the inn earlier, like I mentioned, and he says, "Ah, nobleman, you've come a long way." And as soon as he says nobleman, quite a few people turn to you and they say, "Alms, alms, please, for the poor, nobleman, in the name of the elder king."
Just glare at him. It's a guy who's not in a angry way, but in a well played.
He lost some coin from you earlier today.
That's why, well played.
Jan misunderstands them and thinks they are saying arms for the poor. And so he says, "You already have two of them."
That's ridiculous. I'll give you a penny for that. You crazy, crazy woodsman.
He is a crazy woodsman.
Who are you calling crazy?
The game master can call whoever he wants crazy. The character.
Okay, I guess I can't play you.
My friend, and I will, I don't have much with me today, but I will pass out what I can, and I will distribute. I'll go ahead and distribute all 20 coins that I got earlier today.
Wise decision. All right.
Jan lines up to take one.
All right. So then, do you give one to Jan?
Sure. Why not? I'm loyal to my friends.
Sure. He says that's very noble of you, nobleman. So what brings you to the slum shacks? It's a little early for the real gambling.
I'm still looking for somebody. You helped me out earlier. I was hoping maybe you could help me again.
Oh, I'm
sure.
I
don't have as much to pay you with as I would have a minute ago, but...
Well, we don't have a lot of money here, but we do have more information than we do money. Perhaps I could help you out.
Sounds good. I basically try and let him know what kind of person I'm looking for.
Okay.
You know, somebody who's a traveling scoundrel, but, you know, has a reputation for being honest once they're bought, I guess.
Okay. And specifically,
once I buy his services, you know, he's not going to betray me. That's what I'm looking for.
Sure.
Can Jan walk up and try to sense the motive of the guy that's answering Warren?
Yeah, I think that would probably be a smarts check, but you could do that. And then at the same time,
smarts?
Yeah, Maester Roland, can you give me a spirit check again?
Wonderful. It is a 5.
A 5? All right. And Jan, did you get a result as well?
I got a 3, but I wanted to fail, so Jan whispers to Warren, "Les got a bad feeling about this guy. I don't know if you should trust him."
The guy.
I just shake my head. He's you know, he paid his debt earlier.
It's true. Jan, the guy looks at him and it looks at Jan and he says, "I don't know who Mudd is, but he's probably right to have a shady feeling about me. We are in a shady place, and here I am, a shady guy." And you look at him, and he's wearing a vest that looks like it's made of somewhat fine construction, but it is about as tattered as the rest of the places around here. And he's also got this shaggy mop of black hair and these really baggy pants that have a lot of patches in them and stuff. Like he's not very finely dressed. And,
is he literally standing in the shade, though?
Yes, yeah, he is standing in the shade.
Does
okay,
he carry
then
himself
Jan will say he is shady.
Is he carrying himself with the air of somebody who knows how to wear fine clothes? He's just not wearing them now, or is it more of a commoner, this is what he's always had?
You know, you're looking at him, and it looks like he is comfortable in this atmosphere, but you get the sense that he might just be the type of person who's comfortable
everywhere.
General. Yeah. Meanwhile, Maester Roland, you are feeling around, and you can feel this darkness. It's no longer so much throbbing. It's starting to focus again, but it's not focusing on a place. It's focusing on a time, and the time is not yet.
Then I will continue to sit and watch while I wait for said time.
All right. As you wait for a little while, we'll just go ahead and handle your actions for the next scene here.
Sure.
As you wait for a while, the longer you wait, the more you get the sense that you are going to be waiting even longer. Like you think it might be hours before anything significant happens in this location.
I have no problem waiting.
Okay. You also notice that even though it seems like this groping of darkness is reaching out into the future, it's also sort of coalescing in some corners, and as you look, you notice that these corners happen to be places right where the darkness is coalescing. When it draws your eye to it, are corners where briefly there will be 2 or 3 of these figures with the red sashes who gather together, and they speak and then they move away. And they might share, like, you know, no more than 2 or 3 words with one another, and then they move away. Yeah, so you can consider what you'd like to do with that information. Meanwhile, Warren, this guy, he looks at you and he says, "You know, I might be able to help you out here, but
the more we talk, is he wearing the same stuff? I'm trying to think back to how he was acting earlier, and he was just, you know, I'm just sitting here going, you know, maybe I've already found the person I need."
He says, "Well, I could certainly introduce you to somebody that I think might be able to help. Should I go get him?"
By all means.
Very well. So he moves away, and he kind of disappears into the crowd for a moment, and then you feel a tapping on your shoulder behind you.
You turn around.
And it's him, and he's wearing an eye patch. And he says, "Pleased to make your acquaintance."
I feel for my coin purse.
Yeah, when you do that, you notice that your coin purse seems to be there.
Okay, but a little bit lighter or not?
No, it seems like all of it's there.
Okay.
Yeah, Jan says, Are you brothers with that other guy?
He says, "What other guy?" And he winks, but it looks like a blink because he's got a patch over the other eye.
I introduced myself, and I let him know that I have a friend, but that's not right. We antagonize each other for basically the fun thing. And he got me when I came into town.
Very well.
So now I need to return the favor.
Well, I think old Toothsome Merklin here could be of help.
What I was thinking was, he's a young, up-and-coming, fellow, just like myself. And I don't want to hurt him or anything. I just want to make his life more difficult. So, he's probably going to be, working on some new business investments back in Span. And I need somebody to either A, outbid him, or failing that, just drive the price up and, infuriate him.
And how are we going to get the coin to drive this price up?
Oh, I've got, some of it already back in Span for you to use. And I will pay for your travels there as well.
Really? Well, I've been in town for a few months, but I suppose I could head out on the road again. And it's been a while since I've been to Span, but I do miss the city. It's my kind of sleazy.
I know, right?
So let's talk terms here. How much are you willing to pay me?
Well, on top of incidentals, out of character, I'm not sure what a good price per week would be to hire somebody.
1 silver coin feeds 1 commoner for a day.
Okay, so
it took us
this
like
kind of work would
4
be
or 5 days.
Whereas, a nobleman might live off of 10 silver coins a day or something.
Yeah.
So, noble bidding, for example, could be up into the hundreds of silver coins.
Yeah.
Or dozens, I guess.
I'll go ahead and offer him 7 a day.
Okay. His one eyebrow raises at this. Oh, really?
Like I said, when I buy somebody, I want them to stay bought.
Well, that's quite a lot of loyalty you're purchasing right there.
And depending upon how this goes, we'll see a bonus at the end.
All right. Well, I think we have ourselves a deal. So I'm supposed to go to Span, and what's the name of this fellow I'm supposed to look at?
His name is Dion Rainier.
Dion Rainier. Very well, very well.
And again, we're just good-natured fun. We don't want to hurt him. We don't want...
Right, just outbidding him. We're just making the bid a little more painful.
Oh, if you can get the business from him in the first place, that'll be even better. But, failing that, raising up the price.
Should I...
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Jan nudges Warren and says, "Don't you want to get this in writing?"
My friend here is trustworthy.
Toothsome Merklin smiles, and he's got 2 teeth that are missing, and he says, "Can't write."
So we'll go ahead and get this taken care of, hopefully.
Very well. Yeah, so I can head out there, and I guess will you be here for me to find you later?
I'll be around somewhere, if nothing else. Just there are people around who can get in contact with me. You just send a message to the banks, what have you.
Certainly. Well, I'll tell you what. I'll plan to be gone for a moon's turn. I'll come back probably by early winter, and we can revisit things then. How's that sound?
Sounds good.
Very well. All right. So, Mr. Roland, at this point,
Yeah.
You are chilling out in the corner, and the darkness always seems to be coalescing around these figures with the red sashes. And give me a spirit check.
Sure. 3.
3, okay. You know what? You have this impression from this darkness, and it feels like the sun is at once crawling through the sky and also blazing between the horizons. It feels like days go by, and it feels like you're going to have to wait here for a long time for some sort of action to develop. Like longer than you would be able to stay awake.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Does the force, is it pushing me to wait, or is it pushing me to act upon something?
You just feel it continually grasping out towards these things with these people with the sashes, and it's hungry toward those people with the sashes, but it's not pushing you per se. You can just feel its hunger toward these things, like you want it to. It wants something to happen, but at the same time, there's this resistance, like time needs to pass first.
Okay. Then I'll continue to wait, even though it's gonna to take time.
Okay, sounds good. Jan, so what's going on with you right now? You are kind of hanging in the back as this negotiation goes on. There are all these people milling around.
He's gonna look at the guys in the red sashes.
Okay. Yeah, they look like they're slightly shadier than everybody else in this area. They are all clearly city folk. Doesn't look like any of them really are from the wood, and they all, like, even one of them is over in the corner, and not the old pauper who's standing next to the Widelander, but there's another pauper off along a wall, and he's alms, and somebody comes by and drops some bread into the bowl, and this figure with the red sash, it's a woman, but she's like a big-boned, mean-looking woman. She's got a scowl on her face, big time, and she comes along and she just takes the bread right out of the guy's bowl and takes a big bite out of it, and then puts it back in. And the guy says, "Oh, what? Why would you do?" Oh, and then he looks at her and he sees the sash and he says, "Oh, my apologies. I wouldn't offend the Pikes. I never would." And she says, "Yeah," and she picks him up by the scruff of the neck. And then she says, "Don't forget it either." And then she kind of roughs him back down to the ground. And Roland definitely would have noticed this as well.
Jan says to Mutt, not like to the woman, but not quietly at all. "That seemed uncalled for."
Okay. Yeah, so let me see here. That would be a notice check for these guys, because there's enough of a crowd here and you're far enough away that they might not necessarily hear that. Yeah, so they didn't notice you say that. And then Warren, what are you up to right now? You've made this business deal, and the guy kind of thanks you, and then he walks away.
Well, my business here is done.
So Jan asks him, "So how is he supposed to find you come winter?"
We've got ways to get in touch. He's got, he knows where to leave information, and, he's going to have to talk with them on a regular basis in order to continually get paid.
Well, how are they supposed to know you gave him authorization to be paid?
Because I'm going to be heading over to the bank right now.
All right.
Okay. Sorry, the lawyer part of me doesn't like all these oral contracts.
Yeah, it's life in the Blackwood, though. Living by duty and honor. Okay, so you're going to head over to the bank then?
Yeah.
Okay. So the bank would be actually just off of the Court of Classics again.
Okay.
So just north of the actual like centerpiece of that court, there is a triangular walled structure there, and the bank would be one of those buildings that's just in that same block, but
Well, I've been there
disconnected
once
from it.
already, so.
Right, exactly. So you know how to get there. So you can head over in that direction. Maester Roland, give me another notice check.
Sure. I have a 6.
A 6, all right. So as you are looking around, you notice that you have no idea how long they've been here, but the two fellas who were at the inn this morning, especially the one who got into a fight, you notice him most of all, and they're both here in this marketplace, and in fact they're just wrapping up a deal with some sort of shady-looking character with an eye patch. You see one of the one who is fighting a duel, the big lumberjack fella. He looks over at the red-sashed woman beating up the guy, and he says something under his breath, and you can, from your notice check, you notice that he says something like, well, that was kind of uncalled for. And then they start to leave.
I'll go ahead and follow those two then.
Okay. Are you going to be following them at some sort of discreet distance, or are you just walking behind them?
You know what? I'm going to use my namesake and go hidden.
All right.
Let's try to cast that.
All right. Ooh, that's right. Okay. So, give me a roll.
Sure. Wild die exploded, so that's a 10.
A 10. Okay. So then, let me remind me. That means you're totally invisible, right?
Yeah, that's a raise. So
yeah. Cool. So yeah, you in a quick flash of light that draws the attention of some people, they look over and there is just an old pauper in the corner. And the old pauper seems just as surprised that all these people are looking at him all of a sudden. He says, I didn't take nothing. I didn't do it. I didn't do it. He puts his hands up in the air. His bowl is down on the ground at this point. Yeah, so then Warren and Jan, you guys head back down the road you came. It's kind of winding, but eventually you start heading down the hill and the smell kind of goes away and the streets open up a little bit and you gradually come into greater sunlight. And eventually you find your way back to the Court of Classics, of course, with Maester Roland close in tow. And you get to the bank. What kind of business are you trying to conduct there?
I'm going to set up a credit account or a credit line at, so much a day for this guy, and then allow him to draw on. We'll go with 200 silver pieces for expenses.
Okay, cool. All right, so 200 silver pieces. Let me see here.
And then 7 a day for him.
Mm-hmm. Alrighty then.
And could I get his name again? Just so I can write it down in my notes.
Is Toothsome Merklin. Merklin is Merklin.
Jan calls him Gummy.
Wonderful. Okay, so you guys get to the bank, you make that transaction. Maester Roland, as you're walking along, you actually get to the point where the invisibility spell wears off. Are you going to recast it as you go along, or what?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to.
Okay. Then let's say you only have to cast it one more time to actually be able to get into the bank, and if you make a stealth check, you can hide while you're in there.
Sure. So I'll do the roll for recasting.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a 7.
7, all right.
And then a stealth check. Of course I didn't take stealth. Why did I need stealth?
Because you're invisible. I guess you can make another invisibility check once you get inside there instead.
Sure. Why do we do that?
Okay.
I'll just keep it easy.
Sure.
So then the second roll is a 2.
A 2, all right. So then you make your way inside the bank, and you can feel that like you're a little more visible as you're walking through the courtyard. You get into the bank, and where you so this bank is really no more than a nobleman's house.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a big hall, like a receiving area, and the nobleman is a sort of financier. And he has a desk that's set up at the far end of this entry hall, and there's a clerk there who's accepting, writing notes down about credit lines and that sort of thing. There are runners that are shuffling in and out of the front doors. And then there are like braziers that are set up along the hall that are wafting a kind of a perfume in addition to providing light for the room. And so you can definitely find a place to hide in here, but where are you positioning yourself?
So I've been following the two.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? Why don't I just stay at the front, just outside the door?
Okay, gotcha. So yeah, I guess then, is it like, back against the wall kind of situation, or what?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So yeah, then you've got your back against the wall, and you're kind of taking a look out at the Court of Classics here. Your invisibility wears off, and maybe you don't even realize it at first, but when a few classicists start looking your way, one of them actually looks over and does like a double take, and then kind of like passes a hand in front of his eyes, and he's like, oh man, he walks on, he continues his way. And then eventually, Warren and Jan, what are you doing after you've made this transaction?
Jan tries to open a savings account with the 1 silver piece that he got from Warren.
The clerk says, well, I suppose we can take it from you.
Jan asks what the interest rate is.
Interest rate? We would just... Interest rate? Is that something up in your village, maybe?
Yeah, we have usury in Dinbarn.
Usury. He says, well, here we just hold on to your gold for you.
Well, there's no point of that. I can hold on to it just fine myself.
Well, then I encourage you to do so.
Maybe I should hold on to other people's too. I'll give them extra interest.
That is theft, I think, unless I misunderstand you.
I don't understand this town. I can't see dogs. I don't understand financing.
Well, Woodsman, if you're not going to give us your silver, then have a nice day.
What's that supposed to mean?
Have a nice day.
Pretty straightforward.
Got my eye on you.
Very well. And then there's a runner that's like a porter guy who's standing next to the desk, and the clerk looks over at him and is just like, so strange. Okay, so what are you guys doing at this point after the bank?
Well, I've got 2 more things on my list, but if somebody else wants to do something, I'm more than willing to, follow around for a bit if other people have stuff they want to do.
Jan wants to turn one of the boar hides from Broken Tusk's boar into battle armor for Mutt.
Okay, so that's your deal, and then Warren, what are the remaining 2 things on your list? We might be able to just montage this.
I want to still try and contract some caravan guards for a span, which is the whole reason I was sent here in the first place, and find a decent meal.
A decent meal, okay. Yeah, caravan
and by
guards...
decent, out of character, I mean expensive.
Sure.
Actual wine,
Right, yeah. Okay, well, there is definitely a hunter's hall for Jan to go out and get that armor made. That's going to take a few days, and then they take a little while to understand that you want to make this for a dog, and they want to take the dimensions of this dog, but they just can't find it. And they say, you know what? We'll make it adjustable. And then
And he also that works in case he grows.
very well, very well. And then the caravan guard thing. There are plenty of guild. There's actually a guild hall. There is an armorer's guild hall in town that would definitely have caravan guard resources available. And they are just off of the main market square inside the main gates.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can go over there and you can negotiate with them about setting up caravan services.
Okay.
They want to know, though, are you interested in financing a caravan of your own, or are you just trying to hire caravan guards?
Right now, I'm just trying to hire them for the family and our family businesses.
Gotcha. And so then what they would be...
Hopefully sometime in the near future, I will be, purchasing my own caravan.
Sure. And so then these guards would be traveling to Span and then linking up with your family business.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Yeah, then you negotiate a deal where these guards will they'll guard a caravan going to Span, and then when they get there, they will find the May Shipping Company or whatever it's called. What is it called?
The May Shipping Company.
Well, perfect. All right.
As Warren hires them, Jan regales them of the tales of the things they saw in their journey to High Hall.
Okay, I totally use what he says to try and persuade them into all the extra riches they will get by doing this.
Okay.
No, it's not dangerous. It's a chance for glory and money.
No, Jan doesn't say it's dangerous. He makes it sound like it's a fun adventure.
And
but
he
talks about his friend Broken Tusk.
Both of you guys give me persuasion checks then.
I got a 5 to convince them that, okay, it might be dangerous, but the possible rewards are so worth it.
So mine will be in a -3. And I rolled ones on both dice.
So, Warren, despite your best efforts, there were 6 caravan guards that were willing to sign up, and after Jan tells the story, there are now 4 who are willing to sign up. So you do manage to get 4, but it's not quite as many as you had hoped.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Maester Roland, as this is all going on, they split up for a little while. But first, it sounds like they go to the caravan guard place to secure caravans together. What are you doing at this point? Are you still trailing them?
Yeah. So was I able to see where Ironclad and Brother went off to?
It looked like they limped off into the city somewhere.
Okay.
But from there, since you were staying at the inn, you didn't really see anything other than the fact that they went into the city gates.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming that the darkness is pulling me back to that alley, but not the alley, but the.
Well, since it's been a while since you meditated, you don't really feel it so much anymore. It's kind of faded in the time since you started following Warren and Jan instead.
Mm-hmm.
But if you would like to remeditate, just name a location where you're going to meditate, and then I can give you that information.
I'll just go back to the place I was since I know where it is.
The fountain or the
fountain
market? Okay.
Fountain.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Then you head over to the fountain and give me a spirit check.
Sure. I believe it's still that. It is a 5.
A 5. All right. So you definitely still feel the pull toward the slope shacks.
Mm-hmm.
And it's still, now that you've been there before and you can kind of feel it, it's almost like you have a direct line to the location. And it feels like the time is still not yet, but you think after dark it will be time to go do this thing.
Fantastic. I will stay in my meditation.
Okay, sounds good. So then you guys, as you leave the caravan place, you come outside into the market and you notice that the Widelander is still in the same part of the city as you guys are. He's just meditating in front of this fountain.
Mutt goes up to the fountain and starts lapping out of it. So Jan walks up to him and just kind of pets his dog's head and stares at the Widelander and tilts his head.
How far away are you from this guy?
Is he like in the middle of the fountain?
What do you think, Mr. Roland?
No, I'm kneeling in front of the lip of the edge. But considering eyes are closed, I'm not going to be able to see anything.
Right.
Well, Jan's at his side, is next to the Widelander, and Jan's on the other side of Mutt. So it's just a couple feet, but it's not far. And Jan thinks the guy looks familiar. He doesn't recognize him right away this time. He just thinks that guy looks familiar.
Ah, yes, yes. Okay, cool. All right then. So you guys, let me see here. What time do we have? So it's almost 10 o'clock. I'm gonna have to go ahead and call the session for the night. So we will do some creative finagling to montage through the rest of the stuff. Warren, you get to your tavern, and it's along the Noble's Way between the Court of Classics and the bridge that leads out to High Hall.
Okay.
It is also in a noble compound, but because you yourself are a noble, you managed to find entry. You show your credentials, and they let you inside. And you do find quite a bit of good food. It is going to be like a 10 silver piece meal.
I'm home!
And you know what? In a corner, they even have some legitimate gambling where they're doing like high stakes stuff. So would you like to gamble?
I am going to gamble. But first, a meal.
Very well. So you get your meal. It's actually a roast hog. And there is some very nice honey mead available. High Hall is famous for its mead, and this is some of the most famous mead in High Hall.
I'll pick up a small cask to take with me.
Okay.
But for now, I'm just going to, I'll pick up 2 small casks. But for now, I'm just going to have wine.
Okay. So the casks are going to be 5 silver pieces each. Actually, no, they're going to be 10 silver pieces each.
I have a question, Eli.
Go ahead.
I don't remember the name of the village that they went through, but there were 3 casks of mead from High Hall that Jan has. Mm-hmm. Is that the really nice mead?
No. There are many different qualities of mead that come out of High Hall, and these are more of the middling quality.
That Jan has. Okay, I was just wondering.
And these you took from the village, right?
Right.
Yeah, so they are definitely middling quality. They're probably like, whereas these casks that Warren is buying are 10 silver a piece, these are more like 3 or 4 silver a piece.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, so you get your meal, and then did you want to do that gambling, Warren?
Yes.
Okay, so give me a roll there, and this will be an opposed check. Let's say that there are 50 silver pieces on the table.
Okay. I got a 4.
A 4, all right. So I got a 9. Would you like to spend a penny and re-roll that?
Yeah, I'll spend another penny.
All right.
10.
10, okay, cool. So, yeah.
2 pennies, so I'm down to 1.
Oh, you're just down to 1. Okay, gotcha. Okay, so as you are gambling, it gets really heated, and you get down for a little while. Things are looking grim. But then you pull it out, you come back for a triumphant win, and you manage to gain an additional 50. So, yeah, you get your money back plus more.
Okay.
And then, Jan, you are looking to make that leather armor, and once you commission that, what goes on after that?
He tried to follow Warren to his fancy dinner. They wouldn't let him in for some reason.
That's true.
Jan blames it on they don't let pets in.
Fair.
So he tells Warren he'll see him later, and he just kind of wanders around the High Hall, see what he can find.
Okay. Yeah, so, and are you looking for anything in particular, just like action and adventure, or what?
Mutt's just sniffing around, and Jan's just following Mutt around.
Okay. Yeah, then you guys wander around the entire city. You get a pretty nice tour. There is, as the sun goes down, in the Court of Classics, there is a group of musicians who are playing quite a lively jig. And there are actually a couple of ladies who invite you to dance with them. And they dance with you for a little while, and then they do-si-do to other partners, and then they come back to you for a little while, and by the time you finish dancing, the sun is set, and if you want to make a persuasion check, you can try and spend an evening with these ladies.
We'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
Is it... Because it's -3, then I got a 2.
You got a 2?
Hey, it's not a 1.
I believe you have a few bennies, though, don't you?
Yeah, I do have so many. How many do I have?
I count 5.
Okay, well, now I have 4.
All right.
And now I have 3, because I just rolled 2 ones.
All right.
Saw that coming.
Hey, my 6 exploded.
All right.
And then I got a 3, so 6.
That's basically
6
how
total?
go. Just use them all.
All right, so there's a lady...
tells them, you want to come meet my dog?
One of them, her name is Clara, and she says, "Oh, I love dogs," and she goes off with you. And by the time it becomes clear to her that this dog is nowhere to be found, she's too drunk to care. And you're in a tavern. Which would you go back to the inn, or would you try to find a new place?
She took me back to her place.
Okay. She does that, but it turns out in the end she is a woman of propriety. And despite how drunk she is, she says, "No, no, no, you can't stay here tonight. You have to go back to your own place. It'll never work between us, and you're a mighty errant, and you've defeated so many enemies, and I'm just a simple girl."
But you can say you spent a night with Jan, son of Jan, new errant apparently.
I will always say that I spent a night with Jan, son of Jan, the famous errant. And then she drifts off to sleep right there.
Jan says, "I knew I was famed in bed."
All right. Now, before we do Maester Roland's thing, I would like to do a quick downtime round. So what this is going to look like, we need to make a wealth check and a defense check. High Hall is it's a large city. So Warren, you are the wealthiest person in the group. I would like you to roll a d12 as a wealth check and just tell me what the result is. And then Maester Roland, you are the most sinister person in the group, so I would like you to roll a d12 as a defense check. And you guys can spend bennies to modify or to re-roll these, and whichever one is higher, we will determine what happens.
Sure. Do you want wild die with this?
Wild die will work, yeah.
Okay. So I have all my bennies. I will keep track of that.
Okay.
That first roll is a 2, so I will spend 1 benny.
All right. And when you say all, do you mean you have 6?
Yeah, I have not spent any bennies, so it should be at least 4, and I don't know if you've given any cents.
I've given at least 1, but let's go ahead and say that you have 6, because my count is sometimes off.
Sure.
He's not lucky though, right?
No.
Correct, yeah.
So I started with just the 3.
So he just had 5, right? Not that I'm trying to take bennies from you.
That would make sense. Maybe.
All I remember is the one you gave me for the early description, so I think I only had 4.
Okay. Well, I know I gave you at least one other one too, so let's say it's 5, but you just spent 1, so it's down to 4 now, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Second roll is also a 2, so I'm going to spend another 1.
All right, and then Warren, what is your roll right now?
I got an 11 for the D12.
All right.
I just had my D12 explode.
Ooh.
So that is a +7, so 19, and I will keep that.
19. Warren, would you like to re-roll?
No.
Okay.
I mean, yeah.
So what happens, this very day, before the end of the day, there is a proclamation in the market square that a nobleman by the name of Theobald Henschenfell, he levies attacks upon the people. And a few of the other nobles protest, but they are his own citizens among the city, and he squeezes them particularly dry, and so there is a shortage of wealth in the city. And not only that, but the Red Pikes that afternoon, right before dusk, they actually strike out and they conduct a series of hits in the Slum Shack area. And there is a rival gang called the Great Wave, and they are almost completely annihilated by the Red Pikes. And so, Maester Roland, with this information, you know that the darkness is pointing toward the Red Pikes.
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to go investigate that further after you hear that there have been all these hits?
Yeah, that's where this is pulling me.
All right, yeah, and not only that, but your patron is slobbering for vengeance.
Yeah.
Not vengeance on behalf of the Great Wave Gang.
Nope, he smells it in the air.
Yeah, just vengeance. And so, tell me about how you appease or deny your patron.
I will appease my patron by spending this next evening after feeling this happen, one by one, giving their bodies and their souls up to my patron.
One by one, so you're like seeking them out?
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. Yeah, then give me, let's say, are you using like magic or so whenever you are actually eliminating them,
yeah,
are you using magic to do it, or are you using, I think you have a dagger, is that right?
I'm going to use both, and it's the same trick I've been using for the past couple sessions, and that is, whilst invisible, using my puppet to make them unaware of what's about to happen, and then using my dagger to take care of it.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, then go ahead and give me both a spellcasting check for your puppet and then also a fighting check, and we'll determine how many of these guys you take out based on your results.
Sure, I should still have 3 bennies left. And then keep in mind the puppet is opposed as well after I...
That's right, it's a spirit check, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, spirit. So this is to cast, and that is an 8.
Correct.
Puppet skill.
Okay.
Wild die exploded, so I'll roll that.
All right.
Off the table.
And I got a 5.
So that is a 10.
A 10 total? All right,
Yep.
yeah. Then you managed to... and who are you exactly trying to make puppets at this point?
One by one, each of the red pikes.
The red pikes. Okay, yeah. So you managed to take control of 5 of these red pikes, and it turns out that there are about 15 of them. But you do take control of about 5, and then go ahead and give me your dagger check, and we'll do that at a +2 bonus.
Okay.
And it'll be opposed to a parry of 6.
Okay.
Or a toughness of 6.
My fighting just went up with that last advancement, so.
Nice.
I have a 4 plus the 2 is a 6. Tie goes to defender, doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
So I'll spend a Benny and
Okay.
reroll that.
And
Wild die explode.
Well, you don't roll your wild die on damage. Oh, no, you're just making a fighting check right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, so go ahead and do that.
So that is an explode, plus 1 is a 7. Plus the 2 is a 9, but that's irrelevant.
Yeah, but a 9 does work. So yeah, you managed to take out, go ahead and roll damage, and we'll just, whatever, we'll say that the toughness is 3, and whatever you get over that, every 1 point is a person that you managed to take out.
Sure.
And obviously all the puppets you can take out too.
Yeah, and then strength plus d4 is the 4 exploded. So that is 6, 7.
7? Okay, so that's 5 people. So then you totally decimate the red pikes as you stalk them through the streets and alleys of the slum shacks that night. You manage to turn them against each other. They are terrified. The patron is thrilled, looming over you, welling up from inside you, reaching out into these other red pikes, turning them against each other in pure acts of barbarism and gore. And by the time the morning comes, the slum shacks are all whispering about the red shadow, the black shadow, actually, that has stalked their way and has brought them safety, but at great cost. And the area of the city is quiet and cautious for the next several weeks. And I think that is where we will call it a night, everyone. So, thank you everyone for tuning in, and we will see you again, I think, in 2 weeks, possibly a little later. I know that I've got a rehearsal schedule that's pretty crazy, so it may be a little longer than that, but if we don't see you next 2 weeks from now, then we'll see you when we see you next. And thank you for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed it. And remember, stay on the way, Errants. Farewell. Oh, wait a second.